in a way.
Yeah, I call it the doom spiral.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, doom spiral.
Yeah, I did a
Yeah.
poster, and it's this ballet dance. It's this ballet dancer standing on the top of K2, and it's literally like that's what owning a business is like.
Right.
It's like
Yeah.
this.
Welcome to the latest season of the Aussie Screen Printing Club, the podcast that's all about the commercial end of screen printing.
Hey Sam, so I'm Shannon McKinnon. I own Aisle6ix Industries. We're based in Wollongong in Coniston. We were in Sydney for nearly 9 years. We predominantly print t-shirts, but we also do posters. And for a while there, we would print anything that we could get flat, but that's fraught with danger. So we've kind of
some interesting stories, right?
Yeah, we've kind of wheeled that one back into the cupboard because you just sometimes just end up with like the weirdest shit, and it's like, oh man, I don't know if I can do that anymore. And you don't make any. It's always about making money, but you don't ever make money on that stuff. But we have had some great projects where we have worked with some great artists, and so that was cool. That wasn't all t-shirt based, but you know, I can tell you about that stuff. But predominantly what we do is t-shirts. We were handprint only up until about 18 months ago when we were in Sydney. We're in St. Peter's for that's where we kind of became serious. And then when we moved down here to Wollongong, we put in an auto, and yeah, that's got its own challenges. So yeah. So where are you based, mate? In Adelaide, is that right?
No, we're in northern New South Wales, a place called Armidale.
Oh, cool.
You know where Tamworth is?
I know. I've never been to Tamworth. I know the Country Music Festival. That's probably,
That's a good reason not to go to Tamworth in my view.
Sure.
We're about an hour and a half north of there.
Oh, cool. And is your shop similar to mine, like handprint and all that sort of stuff, or?
We're auto and manual. So we went auto about a year and a half ago, actually. Yeah, that's January last year. Yeah,
same with us when we moved in. And
we've been running on manuals, and then we eventually got an 8-color manual, thinking, hey, great, 8 colors, simulate process. Why is it taking 10 minutes to get a t-shirt off? And then we said we need to step up, so we did it. Was that similar to you? You kind of, what was it that made you decide you needed to go auto at that point?
Capacity. Yeah, we lost. We had a couple of big clients, and well, they're Maniacs. They're the original axe throwing bar. Our biggest client, and we've been printing for them for about 9 years, is Young Henry's. So we've done. I don't even know how many t-shirts, but over 150 designs with those guys. And we were also printing for Maniacs, where we used to be. Maniacs had its first axe throwing bar ever. Probably it's the first one in Australia, and so we knew them really well. But what ended up happening was, because we were only handprint, we would get in, like, Young Henry's would, you know, every couple of months we'd get an order for a couple of thousand tees and jumpers, and you know, like they had one design which was 6-color front and back that used to take us 2.5 days, and and it was kind of like the perfect storm. We had that, and then Maniacs just took off, and they had like venues in Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane. They had ones everywhere, and we were getting a couple of 100-piece orders for every one of them, and it just hit at the same time, and we ended up losing Maniacs because of it, and because we just couldn't manage the capacity. Yeah, we couldn't manage the capacity. And you know, we have a 3-week turnaround. We say it's 3 weeks. We try to hit it in 2. And back in there, like we'd literally get it the day before on a 3-week turnaround, you know. And just pure, like, the amount of hours that Matt and Ben, the two guys that print. Matt's the wizard, Ben's the magician, in case you follow them on Instagram. But
no, I have to check that out.
Yeah, and so we when we knew we were coming down, this auto came up. It was just literally, I literally turned on. I don't know if you know Howard from Leapfrog.
I know Howard.
This thing was on there. I messaged Donovan, who's the M&R rep. I was like, "What's that machine?" He's like, "Yeah, it's a good thing." And I literally got it. I was like first in line, and then we couldn't. It was too big. It's 6.5 meters wide, so it's like an M&R Sportsman. It's an 8-head, 12 board, but it's actually 10 colors. So when they bought this, no, it's not 10, it's 8, 10, 12, 12 color 14 board. But whoever bought it and imported it didn't get, it's short 4 heads. So it's got like forced, you know, you got your white, and then it's got got 2 cool down
stations,
a flash and then a cool down that's already there. Like you don't really have a choice. But it was too big to fit in the old studio. So it's 6.5 meters wide. And I tried I had the tape measure out. I was like, is it gonna fit? And then, you know, there's other things like, you know, your power, and you need a compressor, and you need like, you just, you know, you probably found yourself, you think, I always used to think that autos was like just really simple, but it's really fucking hard.
It's a nightmare.
So I should have asked, is it okay to swear?
Well, it's up to you. I don't swear, but you know,
just I don't consciously do it, but when I get excited,
well, then you won't notice.
I do. But yeah, it's been it's like one of those situations where I learned to print, or my sort of history was, I was a backyard. I'm not trade qualified, because this used to be a trade, as you probably know, and I lived in Canberra for a while, and I moved to Sydney. Not for a while, like 26 years I lived in Canberra. And I moved to Sydney and found a TAFE course at Ultimo. And I used to go in every Monday and try and print with my buddy Greg and Christina, and they'd fail me every semester so that I could keep going back to do this beginner's course. And you'd know it was me, because on a Tuesday I'd park my Volkswagen and I'd have a box of teas, and that's just what I did. I was addicted to it. And then I ended up going to live in London. I used to be a customs officer, and I took 12 months leave without pay and went to live in London with the purpose of trying to work in a print shop. And I ended up working in a print shop called Photo Fit, which is, you know, it was a handprint, very similar to what my shop was. And this model of Photo Fit is really, like, I know of a bunch of other print people that worked at this shop in London and that have married or mirrored their shop of what Al and Pete did. And they never had autos, so I never had any exposure to it. But once I got the auto in, I was like, holy fuck, what have I been doing? You know, that job that I said, that the 6 color front and back job, it's called Beer is a Girl's Drink by Young Henry's. Once we figured out how to use the auto, and I say we as in once Matt figured it out, the wizard, we were able to do exactly the same job, 6 color front and back, you know, a couple of 100 pieces in less than a day, you know. So the impact's immense.
Did you find that when you first got it, it was a nightmare though, in terms of getting used to squeegee angles and pressures, and you know how the flashes do and don't work and all the rest of it?
To be honest, I'm not the person that runs it. I can turn it on, and you know, I could probably set up a 1 color job, but anything more than that, I don't, you know, as the shop owner, I don't spend the time there. The most immediate thing that we found was that all of our screen tensions were wrong. And so we were using, because we, you know, hand print, you don't, you know, there's screen tension, but it's like, you know, if it's spongy, it's like, oh, it's got a bit more give. So we ended up manually. So what we ended up doing was, pretty much within the first 2 or 3 weeks of moving in here, we basically had to send all of our frames back out to be remeshed. So it was like, it was a cost
exactly what we had to do.
It cost about $6,000, which I wasn't expecting. We used Shane at
Leapfrogging Spot.
Yeah, she's amazing, Shane. He's such a beautiful man. And he was really good. He was even come and pick him up and bring him back for me for a fee. And once we got that little thing, that's such a little thing, but it's such a massive thing, then that's when we were able to sort of work it. And then, you know, Matt's been great. He's been plugging away and got it. Matt's got experience. Matt's worked at a bunch of other print shops, and so he's, you know,
he's used to an auto. He's not a
Taz's. That was what everyone had kind of used before Donovan. The blue wave came, which is Donovan. Is that what you've got at Taz?
No, we've got a red wave, if I can put it that way.
Oh, cool.
We've got an Anatole.
That's from Howard, hey?
That's through Howard. That's a 10 color 12 station.
So 10 means it's really an 8 color.
Yeah, that's right. That's correct. Yeah,
you pretty much lose 2 colors straight away. Yeah, so do we.
Yeah, we're on 2 flashes. We're looking to get a stampinator on it as well.
Oh, cool.
But we're also looking, hopefully, to go to a rock next as well. If we
Oh, okay.
step up to the next one, I'd like to kind of try it out. I mean, it's all new to me, as I said earlier, and
Yeah.
but yeah, M&R, Taz, Anatole, rock. I mean, is there a best of breed? Well, maybe it depends on what you're doing. I don't know. But yeah, we're currently sitting with an Anatole. We love it. It's fast. It works well. The guys are, I mean, perhaps a similar situation to you in that I don't do any printing at all now.
Yeah.
And again, I'd be a bit stuck. I could probably do, like you said, a one color, but if you gave me a couple of, I'd be like, how do you register this again?
Yeah.
So my daughter runs that with a team, and I run the business now. So, but they love it. They swear by it. They can kick out generally 600 an hour, not a 9 color job. You know what I mean? Like a 2 or 3 color job. They do 600 an hour quite happily on it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it works well. But
Yeah.
sounds quite similar.
Yeah. From our perspective, even though we talk about volume and the capacity, we're never going to push it to that. We're not. That's high. And don't take this the wrong way. That's how if you've got to get 600 an hour out, that's awesome. Like, in a way, I'd love to be in that position where we had that much work, that's the volume that we needed to run at. But kind of one of the key things from using the machine was for us to still print at the standard that we have been printing at as hand printers. And I think the advantage you have with having a hand print experience moving up is you kind of, like for us, we never used to have high whites. That was something we was like, oh, it's a waste of screens, like we just double hit it. But now with the high whites on everything, and you've just got that. There's so many little intricacies and the pressures, and you talk about the Stampinator. We just bought a roller squeegee from Action Engineering, so that just comes straight off, and it's hot rolls, and that just that
hot rolls. Okay, I didn't know.
Yeah, so you just essentially we just have it not at the cool down, but it's the next. That's the next.
Turn that off.
Yeah, it's probably
we've got
cheaper.
A roller, but
a roller frame. Yeah, so it doesn't hot roll. Sorry, so we just have it so that when it comes off, the cool down station's there, then it's on the next head. So
okay, yeah.
I mean, it's not going to be the hot roll thing. I mean, M&R have a version of that roller thing as well. The challenge you have is like if you do have a job, like we've had a couple of jobs that are 8 colors, so we have to take that roller frame out, and then if you had the Stampinator on, you're kind of like you're locked in, unless you can be bothered taking it on or off. But I guess if you've got those 2 spare heads, it's all good. So
it's going to be a bit of an experiment for us. That I'm quite intrigued by them. Joel, I was chatting to Joel at PSI in Sunshine in
Dark Label now.
Well, he's now the rock dude for Australia.
Oh, sorry, they rebranded over the weekend.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, they're now called Dark Label, which I understand from a dark kitchen perspective. The concept behind a dark kitchen. Yeah. So I'm like, okay. I get it. I probably need to double check with Joel first that that's what the reasoning is behind it. I don't want to put a meaning behind it when it may not be that. But
well, Dark Label, PSI, formerly known as PSI.
They're
using a Stampinator. But he said to me they're still using the flash. So he says his guys aren't fully confident that the Stampinator will work on its own without a flash. So they flash it, and then what would be the cool down station, or in your case, the roller station, they just stick the Stampinator in there, and it just does the job. So I'm intrigued to see how it works. Okay, so you went up to auto a year and a half ago, but you're running manuals before that. You're still running manuals as well?
Yeah.
Great.
We still have 2 manuals. And then we also do poster printing, like tour poster stuff. Fine art printing, that sort of thing. And then...
Is that on a flatbed screen?
Yeah, it's called a CS clamshell. Ben, he did his apprenticeship on it, so he knows how it all works. I look at it and go, I can't even turn the thing on. But that's all. It's all air driven, and so we've done posters and all sorts of stuff, bit of fine art printing, and it's good. It's kind of hard to have both.
Okay.
Because your screens, yeah, I like both, but the poster printing kind of really needs to be in its own standalone space. That's climate controlled. It's
Okay.
dust
Wow.
free, and it's poster printing and t-shirt printing in the same room is really messy. And the trouble we had with poster printing in the old shop was in the mornings the temperature would be 8 degrees, and then by 10 o'clock the sun would come up over the building next to us, and then it'd be 26. And paper expands and contracts really easily. So you might get 1 or 2 mil expansion in the paper, and then that puts your rego out, and then you're cooked. So you waste all this time. So our new space here, we doubled the space, so we went from like 269. Had 1 roller door and everything came through the office, and now we've got 370 and 4 roller doors. I've got my own car park. We've got kind of a loading dock. Got a compound. It's kind of like a compound setup. One of the major things that we changed was in the old shop, you'd come into the office, which was the kitchen and receiving and dispatch and everything. You'd go straight down into the studio, and right to your right was the washout booth. So that wall was on the back of the office. So when Joel, our art director, he'd be working, he'd have the gurney and that right behind. And then I had to buy the guys earmuffs. It was so loud. Yeah, I had to. You know how you kind of gradually go, I'm going to buy a better something. Well, we gradually kept buying the better gurneys, and eventually I was like, all right, I'm going to buy a commercial grade gurney. I bought this Karcher one, and it's awesome, but its volume went from like 60 decibel, which is still quite loud, to like over 100. So everyone had to have earmuffs. And so now what we have in our car park, it's on our Instagram. I basically rent a shipping container, and traditionally shipping containers open from the ends, but they have these other ones and you can open it from the middle. So we've parked it on one of our roller doors. So you can put the roller door up, you can open it from the inside, and that's where our screen room is. You can take the screen straight in, and then on the other side, it opens outside. So the good thing with that was it was an instant wet room. So we didn't have to worry about making a mess, because they don't give a shit as long as they get it back,
Yeah, right. That's a really cool idea. I never thought of that. That's genius.
It's purely because I have a car park. Like I have a crew.
Space for it.
Yeah, otherwise I wouldn't know what to do. But the other one was just like, the old shop just kind of, I remember walking into it going, wow, this is so big. And then by the time we were leaving, I was like, we had racking and everything. It was good, but we'd get a delivery and it'd come on a pallet that would sit out the front all day, and we'd have to wheel it in and move it in and out. And yeah, just like that.
We've hit that stage now. Same deal. I mean, we weren't, like I said initially, we weren't planning to get an auto. Then we moved in here and thought, this is fantastic. We were in a garage, double garage before. And then we got the 8 color and decided we need something bigger. And then we got the auto and just did not realize, well, we knew what space it was going to take up, but we didn't think we're still going to need a lot of space for stock. So we're just jam-packed. We're starting to look, we're hoping to move in February. We've got a couple of places that we're pretty keen on, which will treble us again, which will be nice. But it is a real problem, all of that. Can I just take you back to one quick thing, just to get some technical advice? You mentioned you switched your gurney over to Karcher.
Yeah. We went from a domestic Bunnings bought Karcher.
Okay, which one did you go to?
Oh, I'd have to dig it out. It's literally it comes with a roll cage. It's like it sits on the wall. It's grey, and it's literally one on off. It doesn't do anything else. It doesn't come with all of the stupid shit that you get with it. Like I've got a box of like attachments that you get from constantly buying shitty gurneys. And the probably the number one trick, and my old boss Andy, who I worked with in Melbourne, it's like as soon as you finish with the gurney, you turn it off and you click the gun, and that releases the pressure on the gurney. And otherwise it sits in this constant like fight or flight state. And that's how they die, essentially.
Because we currently go through a couple of them a year, and it's just doing my head in. It must be a better thing. But yeah, look, maybe I'll get that detail off you later about what.
Yeah, I can definitely share it with you. I mean, this one is still not you can spend thousands of dollars on them. The guy, because this one's serviceable, that's what kind of why I got it. He's like, oh yeah, you probably got another 3 years and then you need to upgrade. I'm like, fuck, 3 years, dude, I can do that.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
It was trying to get me to push over to a hot water one. I'm like, dude, I don't need any extra shit in here. It's like a hot water gurney is like, it's kind of a waste, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, we consume so much. I mean, you would know yourself, you know, the challenge you would have had being in your shed is like, how do you power stuff? You know, by pure coincidence, the people that were in this complex where I am in the building, they made kitchens. So I remember coming in here and I was like, they had like a 40-foot shipping container, which is what they were using to spray the timber, and they had CNC routers and all sorts of stuff. But what they had is they had air lines. So this place already had air compressor lines in here. It actually had an air compressor and a air receiving tank. And I remember when they moved out, they just moved all their shit out to the side here because there's another car park on the side. And I went outside and I was like, oh, what are you guys doing with that? The air compressor, the chiller, and the air receiving tank? And they're like, oh, we're getting rid of it. And I was like, oh, how much do you want for it? And he's like, you know, $5,000. I was like, dude, I don't have $5,000, but I know that stuff's worth that. So we literally, Donovan from M&I, he was helping us move all the stuff. We just picked it all up and put it straight back where it was and plugged it straight back in. And then I had airlines. So the whole shop has got like airlines going everywhere. And
yeah,
you know, that stuff is just insane amounts of money to spend on that stuff. It's
yeah.
stupid, you know, so
That is, yeah, it's very fortunate. We don't use air. We're using fully electric on this. We're running a Volt.
Right.
Then of course you need
That's the
more
power.
electric.
Yeah. What sort of
Yeah.
power does it run?
Oh, it's massive. Yeah. Well, I mean, they've got 2 flashes, which of course is part of the problem. And as you know, those kind of flashes as quartz, they peak very quickly. So I think they draw down 40 amps and then drop down to like 25. You know, when they come on and then off. So you got to get the right circuit breakers for that. The actual unit itself, I think, is about 35 amps if you had all 10 heads going.
Yeah.
But yeah,
but it would be quiet, right?
Oh, it's running now. You can probably hear it beeping, but obviously, like it's literally, you know,
so when
tiny offices.
These things, they're like, you just hear it constantly, which I personally, I'm like, cool. Go, you good thing. Print. Yeah. But yeah, the printing bench that we have, it runs on power, on air as well. So, you know, I don't think I would. Yeah, I mean, we went with M&R because this package came up, was secondhand, you know, and it was a good deal. But you know, we have our manuals at M&R, and Donovan, who's the M&R rep. I don't know if you know Donovan at all.
I've heard of him. I've not met him yet.
Yeah, he's kind of like I remember when I first heard about him, he was running Pam Manel's shop T1, and he was like this urban myth. And he's this massive dude. He's got arms like, anyway, he shook my hand and nearly broke it. And
the legend of Donovan.
Yeah, and then it just became, you know, like he knows so much. And you know, not that I wouldn't look at Rock or any of the other brands. I mean, when we were looking, I don't even know if Anatole was here and that, but you know, Rock definitely was. I know Joel had the only one, and I know that they're obviously bringing in more. But I just, you know, I'm, you know, when you listen to Shirt Show and all that, everyone's like, is it green or blue? And it's like, majority of them are blue, and it's like, it is what it is. As long as it works, I think, you know, as long as you can use it, that's the trick, you know.
I feel there are advantages. I'm just trying to research it again now, and particularly around things like CTS, I think their advantages are going to M&R and Rock, and I guess it just depends, doesn't it, how you grow. And if you're like me and you don't have any other experience in anything else, you think this is fabulous. And I do. I think it's a great press that we've got. But finding out the detail, particularly in Australia, is pretty hard. Like if you haven't got a Donovan, you haven't got a Howard, you know. Yeah. And they're also selling stuff. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like they've got to do their bit. So getting to the bottom of it all. But for me, I think what matters more than anything is getting support. Yeah. You know, if they're running it, for us, it is a numbers game, and we certainly want to keep that quality, but that's why we need a second press. We can't keep up with it. but if it conks out, we're all back on an 8-color manual. You know what I mean? Like that's a nightmare.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about that service. From my perspective, Donovan's not far from us. You can ring him and video chat, and he can pretty much fix it. Or he sends down Phil. Phil's this a beautiful man who's got so much experience in everything, mixing ink, and just I could just ring him up and I'm like, Phil, how do I print a yoga mat? And he's like, well, you just do this and this and this. And he works with Donovan. And so that's where the thing is. And a bunch of my mates have got M&Rs, here and overseas. And so, my old boss, Andy, where I worked at in screenplay, he's got 2, so I can just ring him up and he's like, yeah, just try this. And I was like, okay, man. So I guess that's kind of just that familiarity, being familiar with the product. I know Taz was like, that was the one that everyone was like, yeah, that's the entry point. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think the other thing, sorry, your CTS stuff, I think the only thing you kind of really need to do is make sure that you don't cross, if you go green, you stay green, if you go blue, you stay blue. You don't try and mix. And that's the other thing, like the cruisers, the pallets that are on the cruiser fit on the on the machine. And when I got the machine as part of the package, it had a full set of boards, full set of sleeves, full set of kids boards, and a full set of adult oversized boards.
Wow,
and that fits on everything. So if you were going to stay true to the brand, I'm sure you could get Anatole and a bit bigger, and they make all the same sort of stuff. It just depends on your price point. You know what I mean? So
it does, yeah. And I think yes, but it's like you should never mix your drinks, right? But I guess I'm in the business of trying to find out what works better for us. But
100%. Yeah.
And may find it's worse, may find it's better. I don't know. It's such a difficult thing because you do want to kind of really, you want to have a go on all these things and really see and understand and work out, how does it work with a 10-color job? How does that work with a, this oversized platinum or whatever it may be? But it's really hard to do in Australia.
Have you thought about going to the Made Lab? Have you thought about going over to Austin?
I've thought about a couple of different things in the US to go to and try out, but it's massive cost, and I don't know. I'm sort of a rank amateur when it comes to the screen printing side, but
yeah, I do think that like if you're going to go down the path of investing in this stuff, like if you think about a couple of grand to go over to look at it, is if you can afford it, or you say, Joel, okay, man, like I'm interested, but I'm coming up for a couple of days and I'm going to stand there. You take your daughter, if you said your daughter's running the shop, you take her up and she stands there and she runs the machines with the guys that are running it. And then you go, you know what? You find another shop that's got M&R that can let you go in and have a go, and you hit up Donovan and say, all right, man, like I'm keen. Like let's have a go, because if you get it wrong, you're in the hole,
it's a massive
and
amount of money.
That's the problem with it. I know I went over to the impression trade show at,
cool,
just before COVID. Actually, I think it was the year of COVID. My wife and I are expecting our second child, and I was like, I want to go. She goes, you have to go now. My daughter was like 1.5 or 2, and she's like, if you're going to go, you got to go now. So I went over and saw all the machines. The M&R machines were just off the charts. The digital squeegee hadn't been brought out just yet, and but even just to go into that place and just see what you can get, and there's brands over there of machines that we don't even hear of over here.
Oh, really?
So yeah, like Workhorse. There was this one called Browns, and it looked like it had, like at one point it would have been cutting edge, but apparently they're pretty solid machines, but they just looked awful. And I was like, yeah, I don't think I'm going to go down that one. But just the different t-shirts and all that PMI tape, the split tape. Have you seen that at all?
Yep, we've used
all that stuff, and just it was just amazing. Embroidery machines, and it was just so cool to be there and to see it. So
yeah, I'll have to try and get the time, really, apart from anything else. Can we go back a couple of clicks?
Sure.
You mentioned that you lived in Melbourne for 26 years.
Oh, Canberra for 26.
Sorry, Canberra.
Yep.
And then you went to, I think you studied, you said in Ultimo.
I lived in Canberra. Sorry, I lived in Canberra, moved up to Sydney just when I turned 26. And then I spent 5 and a bit years living in Sydney. And
Screen
then
printing at that point.
no, I moved up to work in a call center. I was working in Canberra for Jones Lang LaSalle, which is commercial real estate. And
Yeah.
then um, the story goes, I was working in a cafe that sold coffee to customs officers in Canberra. I'd worked in the building as a building maintenance man in the customs house. And then I got a job internally with Jones Lang LaSalle. And I moved to Sydney and I worked on the call center that serviced the customs buildings, and they had like 6 or 7 government contracts. And then I applied to become a customs officer, and then I moved over and became a customs officer in Sydney out of the airport, helping people import what's called personal effects and private assessment. So if you were buying, say, this rock, you were importing it direct from US or wherever it is, you have to come to customs house, and if you don't have a customs broker, and you pay. It's an entry for goods, so you have to declare it, and then you have to pay the taxes on it, essentially, and you have to pay the duty and GST. So the customs is the second highest revenue earner behind the tax department, and so that's what I used to do, was help people import cars, bull semen, random shit magazines. Yeah, like barley. It was right then. It was everyone was importing Balinese furniture, so it was heaps of Balinese furniture. Just random stuff. And then the other things, like if you ever travel and you say you lived in the UK for 2 or 3 years, you come back, you bring your backpack back, but then there's all your other stuff that has to get customs clearance as well. So that was the other thing we did. And then I did that for like 3 years, and then got leave without pay, and that's when I went to London and stayed there for 12 months. Worked in a pub.
Whereabouts? Where were you?
I lived in Shoreditch. Yeah.
Shoreditch. Yeah.
Yeah. I loved it. I'd still be there. Well, it's actually probably not. I don't know if my kidney would have survived. I don't know if I would have survived. That was about 2005 to 2007. And then I came back. I went back to Canberra and sobered up and spent some time there with my mum, and then just worked really hard, and then moved down to Melbourne. And I was living in Brunswick East, and then I ended up I was working as a barista, and then I got a job at Screenplay, which was the shop I worked at in Fitzroy, and worked there for a while. And then I met my she's now my wife. I met my Shakira, my wife, down there, and she was living in Sydney and I was in Melbourne. And then she won this cruise to go around the Greek islands, and she asked me if I could go, and I was like, we'd been together for about 8 months, and I was like, yeah, I'll come, but the only condition is that we should live together when I come back. So she flew into Melbourne on a Sunday, helped me pack my panel van up, and we drove it up to Sydney. And then on the Tuesday we flew out, and when we sailed around the Greek islands, and that was the most time we spent together. And then I came back and moved in with her, and then then I was back in Sydney, so which was fine because I had a bunch of friends and stuff here. But I then started the business on Nice. Do you know of Nice at all? It's called the New Enterprise Initiative Scheme, and it still runs now. But you basically get on the dole, and then you can do a small business course. And so for the 12 months that you do this, you don't have to apply for jobs. You basically get your dole money. So I did like a 10-week small business course with this grand vision of like starting this print shop. Totally just made up all these numbers, expecting to make all this money. And I think it's a little bit harder now. You actually have to try and make the money. But I worked out of Redfern. I shared a studio with 2 artists, a guy called Andy and another guy called Alex. And I used to print teas. I had this carousel that my buddy Sim had bought me about 8 years before. It was awful. It was so bad. But I just kept storing it at friends' houses while I was away. It went to like 3 or 4 people's houses, and it had it's like someone had made it, welded it together, and it had to tighten it. You had to get a spanner and like these like T things. You had to tighten it in, and that's how I started the studio.
But you had the ambition by the sound of it. By then you really had a kind of vision about where you wanted to go with this, or you're just mucking around. It sounds like you had a vision.
To be honest, you can ask any of my friends from prior to going to London. My memory serves me pretty good. All I talked about was starting a print shop or printing. You know, Aisle6ix wasn't a screen print shop. It was a label. That's what I wanted it to be.
Okay.
I have a love for Mambo. That's my gateway drug. And I used to, when my first job was working at Franklin's, and I used to walk out on a Wednesday or whenever I'd get my pay, and I'd go and pay for the t-shirts that I'd had on hold with the local surf shop at Woden Plaza in Canberra. And then that just became my thing, and that's what Aisle6ix was going to be. So you know, the name Aisle6ix comes from that shop. I used to be an aisle boy, and I always thought Aisle6ix was the aisle where all the cool shit was. That's what Aisle6ix stands for.
Got it.
So
right. Okay.
yeah, so that's what it stands for.
That's very cool.
Yeah, and then so I gradually, you know, I was also doing this art event, and when I was in London, I linked up with this guy called Terry, and he was putting on this event called Secret Wars, and it was a live art battle, and so two artists, like an MC battle, but two artists would be on a white wall, sorry. They had 90 minutes to battle draw, to kind of take the piss out of each other. So if your name was MC, if your artist name was, I don't know, Sam I Am, then I'd take the piss out of you and you could take the piss out of me. And then after 90 minutes, there'd be two judges and a crowd vote. And so I worked with him on that for pretty much 2 years while I was in there. And then I came back, and with the help of Shakira and some other friends, Brad and Chris, we got that event happening in Sydney at a bar in Darlinghurst. And that just kicked off. It was huge. We ended up getting, you know, hundreds of people every month, and I met heaps I knew some artists, but through that I ended up meeting all these amazing artists, and just all these, like we ended up doing like live art events for Grilled and Australian Open and Optus, and so off the back of that I kind of got this network of people to sort of work with. And then, you know, our first clients were artists and tattoo artists and stuff like that. And then and Shakira was working for Channel V at the time, and so I started printing the Channel V crew shirts. And then yeah, that's kind of how it started. And
did those customers come to you, or did you, like, obviously you had those contacts, but did you hit them up for work, or did they say
for the live art stuff? They kind of, well, it kind of became a bit undergroundish. We ended up doing events in Sydney and Melbourne. Or in total, we did five 6-month long series. So we started off at, this was called No Name Bar in Darlinghurst. We did that, and then we went down to Melbourne, and we did it down in Melbourne for 6 months. And then we did another one in Sydney at the Oxford Art Factory, and then back to Melbourne, and then back to Sydney. And we were just about to start doing it in Brisbane and Adelaide and Perth, but there was we couldn't, Terry, the guy who started it, he wouldn't let me run it how I wanted to run it.
Yeah.
He had his own way. And so I just walked away from it and pulled the pin. But if you go to YouTube, there's like Secret Wars Australia, there's like videos of every event. It was awesome. You know, had so much fun.
Definitely check that out. Yeah.
So the corporate side of it was a bit of a, that kind of came off the back of it. And so we ended up doing like, there's other projects that came off the back of it. One of our good friends, Cam Scale, he ended up doing the liveries, the design on the car. He did the first Pepsi Max supercar off the back of that. And then yeah, there was a big movement at the time for like live art, and you know, we did some stuff for LG. We did some live art for LG at their events. We did live art for like corporate events, and you know, so that was kind of supplementary to the print shop. But yeah, the print shop kind of won. It's sort of where I am now. So yeah.
You feel like that this print shop's more stable then in terms of revenue and support, less travel and set up, tear down, that kind of thing?
To be honest, when Secret was finished, it broke my heart because I absolutely loved it. I loved the interaction. I loved meeting all the beautiful people that I met, and I just loved being in that space. And you know, but you know, printing has always been my absolute passion. You know, as the challenge with being the business owner is I don't print, and I realize that now, that my strength is not in printing. Matt and Ben, they're amazing, you know, the guys that print. So I kind of have to let that go. I mourn it a little bit, and every now and then I might bust out and do like a one color pocket or something, or do some size labels, or try and print my own stuff. But the super hard technical stuff, like I can't even touch. I struggle to register. I've always struggled to register. just this is just, I don't know what it is. I'm too impatient. So so that's why Matt and Ben do what they do. So yeah. But the print, the t-shirts and all that sort of stuff, some of the people we print for, and that it's really rewarding. You know what I mean? So yeah, I love our clients. I love it when we get to new projects, so.
What is your typical client now, though? Give us an idea of what, because
Mm.
it seems to me that you're, rightly hanging on to the art feel, at least, of your brand and the type of prints you're doing. Is that a reflection of the type of customer you have? Less corporate stuff, more?
Yeah. It's definitely moved away from the street label, like streetwear stuff. That we used to do a lot of that, but I feel like that's kind of changed in the industry anyway, because people would be like, here's 10 designs, like do 50 of each, and that would be what some of the people used to print for. Now it's more, it's kind of like the craft beer people, the coffee people. But it's also kind of like the ad agency that has a couple of different people they work for. We might do stuff with them. Or, like Cindy Sin is a great example. We print his own label, and then we might get referrals from people he's done artwork for and stuff like that. If I was to look on press at the moment, we're doing some stuff for a motorcycle club, and a bowling alley, and we're about to do this massive order for this big car event that's happening in August. And then but we do all the t-shirts for the Mardi Gras, the Sydney Gay Mardi Gras, which we've been doing for about 4 years. We just did the t-shirts for Sydney Film Festival, for the volunteers. So it's hard to know. I'm finding that people are being people are okay with the quality. They want good quality. But if I quote and you quote and your quote's 50 cents cheaper, they're going to go with you. So that's the little challenge we have at the moment. AS Colors just put their prices up again. So there's the challenge around trying to maintain what we do at the level that we do it at, but also be competitive. We sit in between smaller shops, and it's hard to explain to you what that is, but the guy that's got his carousel and he prints in his shed and all that sort of stuff, we're bigger than that. In Wollongong, there's us, there's another guy in North Wollongong, there's a shop down in Albion Park, there's a couple other little shops. So we're kind of I feel like we're one of the biggest shops here. But when we're in Sydney, we were a small shop, and you've got the likes of Texas Aardvark, which has got eight or nine 14 color autos. You've got Pam at T1, she's got 4. Her shop was pretty much the most tech shop going around. And then you've got Sweatshop, which is Vance and Jamie's shop. I think they've got 3 or 4 autos and a digital squeegee, and that shop, dedicated staff for mixing ink, like when you get that sort of space, like, you're trying to compete with that. And if anything that's moving out of it, it feels like we're kind of like, all right, you guys can have all that up there. You've got the Junior at Fresh Teas, his shop's going up and up. His shop's he's got a great space. And it's challenging to know exactly what our market is. I know what we don't like doing, which is promo. Polo shirts and like stuff like that. But that doesn't mean
you wouldn't say no, though, would you? I mean, you'd still.
Depends what it is. Like, we one of the 2 hashtags we had for a while was Death to Digital and Always Handprint.
What was the second one? Always Handprint.
So Always Handprint was like, that was what we started with. And like if you were to go back on Instagram and look at that hashtag, we're there as sort of the number 1. And that was our thing. It was like, don't use the auto. But now it's like, like I've got a couple of quotes out at the moment. The 10, 12 colors for 30 shirts, like a super color transfer in that space is like, it's it's a no-brainer, you know.
Absolutely.
Like I doubt we would ever, we're never going to get a direct-to garment. I'd much rather just outsource it to, say, someone like Junior, you know, because he's got it all. He knows how to do it all. But the direct-to-film stuff is really good. As far as doing it internally, I don't think we'd ever do it. But Supercolor is just too good to not.
Yeah, it's amazing. We do the same.
Yeah.
Incidentally, you know, what do you do when you get that customer on for 30 Ts and it's a full color image and you think, yeah, I'm going to have to switch this to a super color
Quote
transfer?
them.
How
I
do
just
you?
quote them. I
But
quote
do you
them. I'm like,
tell? Do you
yeah,
say,
I
look,
like
this is
we
the
use we changed from Printavo over to Hoops about 6 months ago.
okay?
That's the shop management software. I'm not sure
Yeah,
what you use. Hoops has got this great feature where you can just duplicate a quote and then just change the parameters, and it sits within one quote. You send it as a group. And so all I would do is I would quote, you know, this job, six colors, screen setup $60 ago, or 55 or whatever it is, for 30 shirts. You know, you're looking at, you know, $30 a shirt or whatever it is. Or you can have this one, which is one screen setup, and it makes the t-shirt $16 or $20 or whatever it is.
yeah,
You decide. If you want the 36 color
that's neat.
thing,
That's neat.
cool, we'll do
Yeah.
it. But it's punishing. It's punishing for 30 shirts. You know what I mean? Whereas before I would never have even considered it. I was like, it's screen print only. Now I'm like, you know, you've got to work smarter, you know, in that space. So
Do you feel like the customer gets it? Or, you know, do you spend any time? Like I did one of those quotes this morning, exactly that. It was 50. It was a picture of a go-kart, like a racing go-kart, full background, full color. And I thought, yeah, okay, super color. Did the price, sent the quote, got the mock-up out to them, and I just put a little note saying, this is a super color transfer, not a screen print. And I was like, at that point where like, maybe I should explain what the difference is. And I didn't. I let it go, and we'll see whether that comes back. But do you kind of try and educate the customer on that, or just put it out and say, well, you know,
depends who
that's
it
what it is?
is. It depends who it is. Sometimes I do. Sometimes I'm just like, this is what it is. It's a transfer. This is what we offer for this. If you don't want it, like, that's okay.
Yeah,
But you know, I'm tending to be over. I tend to over deliver on that sort of stuff and give people more information. And I think that's, you know, when we're thinking, you know, you send a quote and I send a quote, and sorry, not use, like two companies send a quote. One's just it's this is what it is. The other one's, well, this is what it is, and this is why we've chosen that, and this is the information, and this is the supplier. Like, in my mind, I'm going to go with the one that's given you the more information, you know.
yeah,
So the customer gets to make that decision, and
yeah.
9 times out of 10, they're not that worried about it. But you know, if I can give them a bit more information, and that's kind of some of the stuff that, like, you talk about what's your point of difference. It's like, you know, like you could email every shop and they can give you a price, but you know, how is the communication internally, and how does it work, and is it on time, and is the price,
Yeah.
because I know, like, where it's slightly more expensive than others, but you know, I don't know if you've ever emailed shops to see what everyone else charges.
Not really. I
Yeah,
did in the past, but not now. I wouldn't bother.
yeah, it's hard. I mean, it's hard to know, like, you know, everyone can get AS Color, everyone can get Gildan, everyone can get Ramo, everyone can get Sportage or whatever it is, you know, but just trying to figure out what your point of difference is and trying to educate people, you know.
Well, I do. I mean, we had one of those recently where, and I just hate it. You know, can you do any better on price? You think, well, okay, yes, I can. I could do a lot better, but am I going to? It's an order for 100, you know, whatever it is, nothing too complex, let's say. But what I reply now is, we can do better, but can you? What you're paying for isn't just the garment and the print, which we want to be top quality. It's actually the customer service. And right
Yeah,
now, you're experiencing the front end of that. What happens at the back end? You can go to
yeah,
someone else that might be cheaper, but if their garments are crap, or the print's garbage or misplaced or whatever, or arrives late, which can happen, that's what you're really paying for, that kind of stuff. And do you want a partnership with us or not? You know, like
yeah,
someone comes on and says, oh, well, we're going to sell 1 million of these, but right now we want 20, or, you know, that kind of thing. Everyone goes, oh, no, one of those people.
yeah, yeah,
You
yeah,
know, do you really want to partner with us? We're happy for you to grow your business. We're happy to grow it with you in the bit that we do. but
Yeah.
don't expect us to become a charity. You know what I mean? That's how I kind of not
Yeah. I'm
feel,
getting I kind of swing. It's hard because, you know, I had a client recently and he's like, oh, someone's given me this price. I want to be fair and transparent with you. We've been printing for them for a little while. Do you think that this is reasonable? What do you think? And I looked at it and it knocked $100 odd dollars off what I had quoted. And normally I'd be like, dude, I'm not going to price match this, but this particular client has 5 pubs, you know? And I'm like,
there's a business question in it.
I'd already printed for him, you know, I'm like, yeah, no worries. And I was like, no worries, I can give you this for this instance. Moving forward, let's work on the rack rate so you understand what you're up for. And for me, it's about, you know, my relationship with you is the value in the business. If you just want a direct garment or whatever it is, no offense to the direct garment printers watching this, but, you know, like if you just, if you're not fussed, then I'm not your shop. And that's probably the thing I've been working on in the last sort of 18 months is like, I can't print every t-shirt. I can't, you know, like a client that you know, I'm pretty, what's the word? I like to watch what's happening on Instagram. I like to see what everyone's doing. And I like to see what my clients are doing. And if as a client that we've been printing for and they've chosen to use a different printer, I don't mind. But when they come back to me, I'm like, okay, well, we had this relationship.
What happened?
What's happened? And I've started on my emails. I'm like, hey, like I haven't heard from you. That's fine. If you've gone with someone else, can you just let me know? And I'm saying that to like, I'm like, all right, I can close that job inquiry down. And then the other things, if they tell me, I'm like, what was the reason? What was it? Was it too much money? Was it you didn't like me? Or not personally, but I'm, you know, so I'm just trying to, you know, do a bit of like, get a bit of feedback so I can kind of adjust on the run. So, but I'm like you in that sense. It's like, oh, what's your best price? I'm like, I don't even know your name. Where are you?
Who are you?
Who are you? You know, my general workflow from looking from a quote is like, I'll get the quote. And the first thing I'll do is I'll copy that email address into the website to see who they are, to see what they do, to see what the company is, to see if it's, you know, like if they've got 50,000 followers or whatever, I'm like, okay, cool. So they're a legit business. If they've just started, I'm like, okay, I can be a little bit, you know, not tougher, but I'm like, I'm not going to necessarily work as hard, but, you know, I've also done it for everyone. I don't want to feel like I'm, you know, creating favorites or anything, but, you know, yeah, it's hard. I like to try and respond really quickly, and sometimes that gets me in trouble. So, yeah. But I do love the client. I love the client. You know, we very rarely get feedback, as positive feedback, I should say.
Okay.
Yeah, I just find people are happy to tell you when something goes wrong. I'm not quite sure how to court the positive responses. Is that something you guys do? Do you have like a positive sort of Google sort of follow-up? Is that how it works?
Yeah, we're selective. So this is probably a bit cheap in a way, probably not getting a good sense of it. But when a customer writes back and says, hey, just got the teas, love them, thanks so much, really appreciated the experience, they get an email straight back, a standard template that just says, thanks, it's great. Can you please give us a review? And that's worked because they have to, right? They've already just said how good. You know what I mean? They're kind of like, oh no, I'm not going to give a review. So they always do. But here's one I had. So I don't know how many reviews we got. Probably not that many. But every one of them has been 5-star. And I felt a bit kind of counterfeit with that, you know, like surely we can have someone. And occasionally you'll get that, you know, customer where it's gone Pete Tong and you just have to fix it, right? It's just the way it is. And part of me thinks, oh, here's a bad review. Maybe that's a good thing. No, we better fix this. You know, this could go, you know, very bad. So we always fix it. Well, nearly always fix it within reason. But we had one last week. I told the guys, we all had a bit of a laugh about it. Exactly what I just said. The customer came on the Monday. They needed them by Friday. They'd ordered them a week before, but they weren't actually going to get printed until Thursday. And I think it was Sydney. It wasn't for us. It wasn't, you know, delivery wasn't far. And I said, look, I'll speak to the guys. I'll, see if we can get it moved up. I think it was an easy print, and they got it done and on, and it was there a day later. She wrote back and said, wonderful, great service. Really appreciate you pulling out the stops, etc. And I wrote back, hey, can we have the review? 4 stars. No words, and then, no narrative, just the stars. And I almost wanted to phone and say, what do you mean 4 stars? You just told us we were great. But then you might get that person that's like, well, no one ever gets 5 stars in my book, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But that's how we do it. That's all we do. And it's just an email that directs them to our site that then has 2, ports of call. One you can go to Facebook, and the other you can go to Google and drop it in. But that's all we would do. We wouldn't chase a customer for a review ever.
Yeah.
In terms of just going out there a bit more blind.
Yeah.
We only respond to their response.
Yeah. I tend to, sort of with Hoops, you send the emails, and then it's like, hey, thing's been shipped. If you want to, there's like a link to a survey form, a Survey Monkey thing, and then a Google thing. It's a bit hit and miss, to be honest. I as much as I'd like the review, I'd much rather a word of mouth referral. Like, that to me is got way more value, and I literally is like, oh, I'm like, how did you find out about us? And they're like, oh, Barry told me about you. I'm like, cool. And then the next time I see Barry, I'm like, hey, Barry, I've chucked in some extra shirts, or here's a sticker, or thanks, man. Like, I've given you free screen setups or something like that. Like, for me, the referral and the word of mouth has been like, that's how we've operated. Instagram, I'm a tight ass for spending on ads and stuff like that. We've just started. I've been working with this beautiful man called Dan, and he's helping me with the EDM, the emails and that sort of stuff. And that's been really positive. And because I used to be like, oh, I do one every 4 to 6 months, and it had to have all these photos, and he's like, no, you don't do that anymore, man. I was like, okay. So we've been working on that sort of things, and then just trying to be more
consistent. What app do you use for that? You use a cloud-based system for that?
Yeah, we use Drip, the Drip email thing. It was, everyone pretty much traditionally uses MailChimp, but Dan has got lots of experience with Drip, and it's a little bit more expensive. He knows how to use it. I was like, dude, we'll talk. Literally, we'll Zoom kind of like this, and he's like, what do you want to email about today? And I'm like, oh, let's talk about, like we talked about the prices for AS Color. And he's like, right. So, and then we literally will talk like this, and then within 20 minutes, we've got an email, and he sent it, and he's like, all right, what's the next thing we're working on? So Dan's impact has been really, really, really good. So
he's an external consultant that you use.
Yeah, he's he's a marketing strategist. That's what he said he was last time. But he's just a weapon. He knows so much about he knows so much about shit I didn't even know existed. And he's a lovely guy, and I happily refer you if you want. It's all online.
Love to get contact. We do that. We do it ourselves. I mean, it's a bit more of the background of the work that I've done before we got into this.
Yeah.
So I'm a little bit more used to it, but probably don't have any of the intel that he has.
Yeah.
We use Sendinblue, which is now, they've just changed their name. I think they're called Evo or something or other. And that works fine. I mean, I feel like once you get in with one of those companies, you're paying the money, and the shape of the data changes over time. So, people are going to, unlist me from this group, and you don't want to suddenly have to shift from that vendor to another vendor where you started with all that information fresh. So it kind of builds up a portfolio around the content, in terms of the email contacts that you kind of end up having to stay with, because you don't want to lose that.
Yeah, I just exported the MailChimp list, and I imported it straight in. The first email, there was a little bit of a thing. They're like, oh, what's your history? Who are you? Our mailing list is about 2,200, which is kind of inherited. Some of that content is from Secret Wars, or Secret Walls is what it became. So we had the mailing list off the back of that. And then, I have got, through Hoops, every time I send a quote, their email automatically goes to that list. So it's like, you're just constantly adding to the thing. It's a trigger, like a zap that just just adds the email to the list. They get sent an email saying they want to, you know, whatever it is, go in or go out.
Yeah.
And then off you go. So, you know, for every quote I send, I'm adding to that list. I was really, when I first started working with Dan, I was really paranoid about who's unsubscribed. I was like, dude, you just have to let that go.
Oh yeah.
People that don't want to read your, if people don't want to read your email, you can't control it. So now I don't, you know, I used to sit there and look at who'd opened it and make sure that I knew. And then if a friend of mine had unsubscribed, I'd be like, what are you doing? Why are you unsubscribing from my list? But with the change of it, the format change was going from like having all these really visual, like scrolly things, is like now you're basically sending an email that's like literally looks like an email. It's like
Yes,
just
exactly
opens
what
and,
I do. Oh, that's
yeah.
good
And
to
I
know.
was like, really? He's like, yeah, that's what you do. And you know, like the list is kind of leveled out now, and more people are opening it and getting a good response. You know, and
that's exactly. I'm really pleased to hear that. It's exactly what we do. We used to do all the big funky photos, and we tailor it for each market. So we send to all our clients, but we have data in different markets that we're trying to kind of grow. So we might tailor one for the brewery market that would go to a particular landing page with the brewery market, and that worked well. But it's just too, you know, you're trying to hit 15 markets or something. It's just impossible to spend that kind of amount of time. But now I just do exactly what you're describing. You know, hey Jim, Sam here again. Just want to let you know AS color prices are going up middle of the month. We're going to hold this price to the end of the month. You know, give me a shout if you want anything. Here's a link to a deal we've got going at the moment. And that's all we do. We send stuff like that. Just text.
Yeah. It's when Dan explained it to me, I was like, it kind of makes sense, because I was opening emails that just looked like emails, but then I'd get to the bottom and it'd be like, oh, this thing is an offer from us. And I'd be like, oh, they got me again, you know? And, but what it did was it took the pressure of those emails, because I was like, oh, I've got to have a new thing. I've got to make it look like this thing. And it's like, if people want to see what we do, you can just go to the website or Instagram and, or whatever it is, whatever the version of it is today, you know? And, you know, we've got so much content. You know, you can create content in 5 minutes in a print shop. It's not hard. You just have to take a video of someone printing or a screen being recycled and stuff like that. The challenge I have is like, I want to promote more of what we do and kind of tell more about the guys and, you know, who we are and all that sort of stuff. But, you know, the guys also have to be willing to become that, you know, and we've always talked about us as a crew, as a shop, and that works for you sometimes. And we also kind of need to be, I mean, I'm the owner, so sometimes you have to have someone out the front, you know, who's kind of driving the bus, which is, you know, good and bad. But yeah, I do love it. I love having the guys here and, you know, all that sort of stuff. So, but yeah, so is your team big? Do you have many people?
There's 5 full time.
Yeah.
We just lost someone today who was part time, and got another guy who comes in on a Thursday and Friday and just does screens, cleans, reclaims, and he doesn't, you know, degreases. He doesn't coat them.
Are you using Easy Way for that stuff?
We're using the Franmar stuff.
Oh, so it's similar.
Yeah, it's, you know, one step.
Dip
tanks and
and then you wash it off and then you put a spray on and then wash it again. Yeah.
The process that we have is to cut out the ink. We'll use a plastisol ink remover in the screen just to get the ink out. 5 screens into the dip tank. Usually it's a 15-second dip and it comes out when it's, you know, fresh chemical.
Yeah.
And then blast them out with the gurney, with the one that will burn out 3 months later. And and then they just put the degreasing on, wash that off, put them in the drying rack in our we call it the TARDIS. We haven't got a
Easy
container.
Sorry, Easy Way is the same, but you don't have to clean the screens.
Don't have to take the ink off.
Well, you take you take the ink out and put it back in the bucket.
Yeah.
You don't have to do anything else. So you don't have to you don't have to clean the shit off the screen. The product, I think it's called Supra. You put it in the dip tank and it takes all of the emulsion and the ink, and then that just sits at the bottom. And then you take it off, blast it, and then it's got this, it's called 701. It's like a shampoo, conditioner, and degreaser all in one. And then you wash it, and then that just, so you saving a step.
That step. The Franmar stuff's meant to do that, but it doesn't get the ink off well enough.
Yeah,
It just,
I mean, are you getting that from Jones Brothers?
yeah,
So Matt, he reps Easy Way as well. So you could hit him up and say, hey, you'd have to
yeah.
change your whole system. But that step, you know, even taping the frames, we don't tape the frames. We coat emulsion edge to edge,
To the edge.
the whole
Yeah.
thing. And then we block them out with
Yeah.
just water-based block out. But we used to tape frames. I used to get this like generic blue painter's tape, was $13 a roll. And I used to cry every time I had to order a box. And we just have these balls of tape, and you put it on. I'm like, this is ridiculous. And then we went to an open house. Donovan from M&R used Pam's shop at T1 and had an open house, and they had, I can't remember the guy's name, from Easy Way, and he was like, yeah, you just do this and this. And I was like, dude, take that. I'll take that in about 20 seconds, because I've had various iterations of dip tanks. At one point, I had a rubbish bin, like your normal clean away rubbish bin. We just they're not waterproof, just so you know, so don't do this. We had put silicone in the bottom, and then because with the posters, the screens are massive, so we used to have all these screens and just normal traditional screen stripper. That worked, but the bin kept leaking, so you'd come in and you just have, like, in the old shop, there's a little slant. The floor had this little kind of inclination, and this thing would give way, and then there'd just be like cleaning stuff in the middle of your shop. And so then I ended up buying an IBC, those big container things. We cut the top off that, and that's what we used to use. And then and now we just have the Easy Way. When we do the big screens, we just have the normal traditional emulsion stripper. But yeah, that's been again, when that chemical works, it's fantastic.
Yeah,
Like
okay, we'll
literally
consider
like one
switching.
hand.
We'll
Yeah.
consider switching. What do you do with the spent chemical, like the
It
residue?
can go down the drain. Yeah.
So the stuff that you put in the dip tank, the Easy Way, do you neutralize it or anything, or
No,
you just put it down the
it can go down.
sewage?
It can go down. Well, it goes into our washout tray that's got like the step. It's got a step filter.
Yeah, the filters.
But then it can just go down into the grey waste.
And the filters you've got in your washout booth, what are they like? Are they just
I
standard?
bought the washout booth from Supre, which used to be in Marrickville, which is now a train station, and it's literally just a stainless steel thing, and you can go from Bunnings. You can get these big black, like, sieves that they put over the top of water tanks when the water runs
I know
into
exactly
them.
what you mean.
Yeah. So I've got one of those, and that sits over the entry point to the step, and it's just like the step, so the water just all the
It's the
heaviest go
sump.
down. Yeah, it's the sump, and then eventually we always struggled with getting the water out, and then you can get these a sump pump from Bunnings. Just got a little float that's in the bottom of this, and then that water just pumps down into the grey waste. So
But you don't have to treat that Easy Way chemical with anything.
I hope not.
Yeah, we're all doing that, aren't we? Yeah.
I rigged Donovan. No, it's apparently not. Like, it's all that's part of its charm,
Attraction,
I guess.
really.
Yeah.
Because we take it away, we get it cleansed in the Hunter Valley. It all ends up in an IBC. That's like, we have the same setup, I think, as you, in terms of that little filter system that everything would go through, but no plastisol, no obviously spirits. All of the chemical inside the dip tanks, we run 3 dip tanks simultaneously for different things, goes into an IBC, ironically, and they come and take that every quarter and clean it in the Hunter Valley, and that costs us a couple of grand, every time. So I'm just so nervous about putting stuff down the drain, but I guess I could just get it tested and check.
I feel like I need to share the link for Easy Way with you. That's part of its sort of thing.
That's
it's an
story.
American company. Yeah, it's the guy that one of the founders, he's an ex M&R, like, head tech, and I don't know, that's its thing. It's used by so many people on Shirt Show. I know heaps of people use it, and right. So we have that, and then we pretty much pure plastisol here. We do a very small bit of water based if we have to.
Discharge, or just
a little bit. The small, we for a while there I was pushing it, but you know, discharge has its issues. Like you can't use it on red, you can't use it on navy. Sorry, not navy. You can't use it on royal blue. You
Yeah.
know, it's really hard to get unless you're using Magna. It's really hard to get color correct. So you know,
Yeah.
but yeah, we just pretty much pure plastisol. And again, that comes back to when I was in London. That's what Al and Pete used. You know, this is what it was.
Yeah.
We use water based for our posters. But if I had my choice, we'd be using there's an ink called Marabou, which is this amazing solvent ink, but everyone has to wear masks and it's so effective. But yeah, that's pretty much what we do. And then you know, the emulsions SWR Red. I don't know if you know about that. That's from Troy at Kiwo. Troy's been amazing for us as well. Do you know Troy at all?
Yep. Well, I've communicated with him. I don't know him really.
Yeah, Troy's great. Where we used to be before he went to Kiwo, he used to be a distributor. So I'd be like, "Hey Troy, I need something." He's like, "Yeah, just like," so I could go down. He was around the corner from where we were.
Corner, yeah, right.
Go in and he'd be like, "Yeah, just tell me what you got." And yeah, Troy's been lovely.
He knows his stuff.
Yeah, he's a good guy. Yeah. You know, Troy's great. Pam's amazing as well at T1. I don't know if you know her. She's like the matriarch of screen printing in Australia. She's been around forever. And yeah, her shop's really good. She's got a big old shop. She's helped me out. We were doing a project with Scott Marsh. I don't know if you know Scott at all. It was the year that the bushfires happened, kind of leading into COVID, and Scott did this mural of Scott Morrison, and it was him in a Hawaiian shirt. I haven't got Happy New Fear or something. I can't remember what it was. But Scott rang me because we were doing some posters for him. He's like, "Oh, I've got this T-shirt I want to print, and I want to donate all the profit to the fireys, the bushfire people." I was like, "Yeah, cool, man!" Like I was just so excited to be working on a project with him. And he's like, "Yeah, it might be like a couple of 100 teas." I was like, "Dude, no worries. Like I got you. You know, it's all good, man. You just have to pay for the teas, all right? We'll donate the printing." Anyway, he rang me back. He's like, "Yeah, it's up to like 600." I was like, "Oh shit, all right." Cool, man, no worries, we got you. Like, and then he's like, "Yeah, it's up to like 1,500." And I was like, "Fuck." I was like, and it wasn't that we couldn't print them. It was the fact that would have had to have been done by hand. And then it got to like 2,300. I was like, "Holy shit, man." Anyway, Pam rang me and she's like, "Do you need some help?" I was like, "Yes." So Pam printed the job in like 3 hours on one of her autos for free, donated it all. It was amazing. It was so generous. And she's like, "Yeah, you would have been screwed." I was like, "Yeah, I would have been screwed because it would have taken us, you know, that sort of stuff takes a couple of hours to do. We try and average hand printing was always like 100 an hour, 50 for double hit white on black. That was kind of what it was. So, you know, like a 4-color process would have been maybe 25 or 30 an hour on our 2 machines. And so the problem with it was we would have not been able to do any paid work.
All the others, that's just true.
Doing that. So that was the challenge. And so yeah, Pam, she came through. So I've always...
With that, sorry, Shannon, with that in mind, that problem of, you know, you get a particular kind of job that's going to basically clog up the use of the machines. Do you have like a limit? Like, I'll give you an example. It was the end of last year. We got a quote for 5,500 for a political party in Queensland for something or other. And it was a nice, easy print. I think it was a yellow garment and I think it was a black print. So, you know, all right. And they actually came back and said, "We want you to lower your prices." And I thought, well, I've got this, but I didn't lower them. And the reason I didn't lower them is, to be blunt, you know, it would be nice to have that job, but at the same time, it would have been a complete nightmare with all my other customers. You get this one-off job with a politician, effectively, that probably doesn't have any consumer loyalty. You know, they've got to save the money and so on. So I probably wouldn't see them again. I don't have another auto. That would be a stack of jobs that just sit there in that pipeline trying to get out. Do you have a kind of threshold in terms of volume, or, I mean, based on number of colors and all that kind of stuff, I guess, as well?
It depends what's going on in the shop. So an example was at the start of the year, towards the end of last year, we were printing these paper bags for this friend of mine. And I took it on because it was quieter kind of towards the end of the year. and when we came back, that was the job that we started with. So we just literally, we put the bags on the auto and we just printed them with plastisol, just put them through the oven, you know, and it took ages. Still took ages. You know, right now, a job that was really challenging for us this year was the Mardi Gras. We've been printing for them for a few years, but the Mardi Gras this year wasn't just a normal Mardi Gras, which was like a 1 color or 2 color back, and that this year it was World Pride. So I'd love to show that. I wish I could show you the artwork, but it was, you know, you think Mardi Gras, you think rainbows, right? So
yeah,
had that logo. But what the challenge with that job was it had it ended up, I think it was a 7 or 8 color a simulated process. So, you know, your 4 plus your 2 specials.
Yep.
And that was fine. But what they originally had was on the pocket, it had the Mardi Gras logo. Then it had a section that was joined that had the event title. So it had like two like logos essentially.
Yep.
We worked it out that if we would have print the pockets alone, it was 224 screens, because we would have had to have made screens for the black version and screens for the white version. So we were able to go back to them because I know them reasonably well, and I was like, we can't do that. So anyway, it was 52,000 impressions, and it took Matt a month just on that alone.
Yeah.
And we learned a lot because we really went about it the wrong way. The other challenge with it was like, so they might have like the bridge climb, just say the bridge climb might have been on a white t-shirt. So the artwork was black, and then it had black volunteer on the back. Then there was also an inverted version, which is a black t-shirt, exactly the same artwork.
Yeah.
So all the artwork then had to be flipped, and then we had to print a white base, and it was insane. It was so I handled it. I programmed it really wrong, and we didn't really kind of deal with it properly. We didn't, you know, we had the stock sitting there. We didn't pull it apart. You know, like we were just, I don't know, kind of ad-libbing it, and that was awful. It was terrible, and I felt so sorry for Matt, because there was situations where, you know, like I was saying, I can't set up this. I couldn't set up the job, you know. And so Matt would set up a job, and then he'd go, and then I'd work weekends hoping it didn't go out of rego or whatever. And just, you know, we just had to stand there and try and get it out. So, and I don't know that I necessarily made any money. So,
that's the thing at the end of the day.
So to answer your question, it really depends on what the job is. We've got a job coming up that's going to come on press in the next week or two. It's 2,000 tees. There's 7 or 8 designs. There's t-shirts, and then there's jumpers. But from what we've learnt with the Mardi Gras job, everything's going to come in all the stock's going to come in at the same time. Everything's going to be pulled apart. Every single thing's going to be counted out. Everything's going to have a sticker on it, and we're not touching anything until it's 100% organized. I like your job, the one that you're talking about. If that came to me and I could do it, I would do it purely based on the fact that, you know, I'd be like, all right, who wants overtime? 2 guys on and off. Like when Matt prints, he prints by himself. He likes to manage the things that he loads on and off. We don't usually have 2 people on that machine. We've only got, there's only 6 of us as well. So there's me, and then 2 printers, and then Troy, who does pre-production, production, and then Joel, our art director, who works remote, and then Paul, who does our screens and stuff. So, you know, I'd literally be like, right, does anyone want to, actually the way I would probably approach it is I'd take the email and I'd be like, right, this job's coming up. Does anyone want to work overtime?
Yeah.
If everyone says yes, I'll be like, all right, then I'll put us under that pressure. If everyone says no, I'd like to think I'd say no, but if it's something that I could potentially do, you know, I'd probably maybe do it, you know.
Do it and work away at it.
Yeah.
I think, like we'd have done it, but not for anything less. You know what I mean? So I wasn't worried about not having it in the end, because we would have done those extra shifts and made it happen.
Yeah.
But like you said, with the Mardi Gras example, don't know if you made any money. You know, I don't want to get to that point where I go, that's great, we did it, fantastic, great job, but you know, we made $200 or something.
Yeah. I
think
think we
that's
did make. We didn't have to pay. Mardi Gras supplied all the t-shirts, so we didn't have to front. They had a. They were sponsored by Gildan for that event.
yeah, right.
So
So the risk was around the print costs,
it was
basically.
about the printing, but like I think it was like 4 or 5 19-liter buckets of white at $450 ago. I was like, I think it was like 5 1-liter buckets of yellow process ink. It's shit like that. You're
Wow.
like, oh my God, another bucket of white. I was
Yeah,
like, another bucket. I was
yeah.
like, literally, Troy lives not far from me. And I was like, Troy, I need another bucket of white. He's like, okay. Stuff like that. You just like, I didn't expect it.
Do you get walk-ins, or is most of your stuff done online?
No, it's predominantly online. Yeah. But having said that, I'm in the process of trying to maybe tweak that a little bit. Purely based off the fact that there's no, like, we don't have a showroom, but I'm like, if I could get a bit of a showroom thing happening, who knows? You know, um, yeah, I would like it to be appointment driven.
Yeah,
So,
sure. Yeah,
in an ideal world, my goal would be to say, you're an artist, I work with you, you block us out for a week, and you're like, all right, you just got exclusive use of the shop and us, and we're kind of your tentacles, I guess.
yeah, yeah.
There's that sort
That's
of
cool.
thing. I'd love to try and do. There's some people that we've got, some projects in the pipeline that I'll be like, yeah, just come in and let's just do some stuff, But when you get the random, like, oh, I've got to go to a Bucks party, can you do this one shirt?
Yeah.
That would be the only time I would even consider a DTG, because you charge $100 for that stuff, and it's like, yeah. But to be honest, like, I find it really distracting. When we're used to be in St. Peter's, we're in this complex with like, heaps of other people, and people just rock up, and I'd be like, yeah, I'm not really interested.
Yeah.
But yeah, how about yourself?
We've got a very small showroom. This is our office showroom here.
Mm.
We've got 2 desks. One's a kind of reception desk, and just some tees around that got nicer prints on and a bit of AS color stock. But we're like you, we're national. We do a little bit locally. There's a university here, so we get some good deals with university colleges that want a recovery T-shirt for 800 kids or whatever that went out to the ball and had too much to drink, and they're great. But then you'll get them in, and they'll want 2, or a lady came in this morning, and she'd got some kind of silk flags, and she'd been to one of the signage shops here and said, "Can you print on this?" And they tried to do a few things which had failed. And you want to really help someone, right? You're not going to scream for it, so you get them through that concern. Well, what else can I do? And you're thinking, I don't really know, and it's without being condescending to her in any way, she's got a problem she's got to solve. I've just wasted 20 minutes of my time, and
Yeah.
I've got a ton of quotes to do. You know what I mean? So I do
Yeah.
find it a problem. We're just employing tomorrow. She's been for a couple of tryout days as a kind of working interview over the last couple of weeks. But tomorrow we've got a lady starts, and she's going to be taking off all of the mock-ups, all of the quotes, all of the stock ordering, and that front house customer service, answering the phone. We try to do everything online apart from these people. And I'm so excited about that because I don't know how it works for you. You're using Hoops, which maybe we can talk about, but we're using Zero. We've got a bunch of PSD templates. It's pull the arc down, cut that background out, drop that in there. That looks crap. Let's put it into AI, make it look a bit better, put it back in, send it out, send the quote out. And I'm just a bit sort of over it. And I realize that's where our business comes from. But I want to get back on the other kind of end of the business, that not the production end. I don't want to go back into that, although I do love screen printing. I want to say that there's a thrill that's involved in what goes on out there.
Yeah.
From conception to putting it in a box and a customer getting it. But I want to get back onto the business end, so I'm excited about that. Completely digressing, but that I'm hoping this new person will be able to just take on all of that kind of stuff, that maybe even customer complaints when they come in. But yeah, it isn't great. Like I didn't like wanting to expand too much when we were in a garage.
Yeah.
There is a oh, you're in a, you know, leafy suburb, and what is this thing called a print shop, and people just rocking up at strange times. I do think it's much better to be in a proper unit that's much more industrial and so on. But I don't enjoy the walk-ins generally, unless they're coming to collect an order, which is different.
Yeah, I don't know. I think because we've only been in Wollongong for 18 months, maybe, and I'm sort of decentralizing my focus on Sydney. Like, I still love all my clients and I'll still print for them, but where we are, and probably similar to you, there's a uni here.
Yeah,
Wollongong is massive, you know, like from a region, you know, and then this also opens us up to potentially, you know, like the coast and a little bit inner in the Southern Highlands. I don't know how well you know this area, but
yeah,
you know, you kind of like, if someone walks in and they're a local and I'm like, they want 10 t-shirts, I'm like, cool, you're a local. Like, I just have to look at it from who are they going to tell?
yeah,
Who are they going to tell, and who's the next client? And that's unfortunately, like, I struggle going out socially to talk to people, because I'm like, I have to tell you what I do. I have to tell you that I own a print shop and I own a screen print, because you might just tell someone else.
Yeah,
Like, that's just, I just can't. It's so hard. I'm like, I have to, like, sometimes I go out with, you know, my daughter's 6, and she's got more social life than me, to be honest. She goes to these birthday parties, and in fact, I've now got a social life because of her.
yeah, right. With everybody else's parents, yeah.
Yeah, but like, you're talking to these people and you're like, oh, so what do you do? And they're like doing this stuff, and I'm like, oh, I want to so desperately tell you what I do, because you might be a future client. So I have to look at that person rocking up, just going, well, if I can't help you, that's fine, but thanks for coming in here. My kind of unofficial rule is, if I can't help you, I'll make sure that I can point you in the direction that I can. But if I can help you, now I know for a fact there's an email in my inbox for this person that's about to go on holidays and they want 4 shirts. They're from Wollongong. I'm like, okay, they're from Wollongong. I kind of have to, you know, get past that. You know, for when we're in Sydney, our minimum was always, we never used to have minimum orders, you know. And then I'm like, this is ridiculous. So I made it 30. Now I'm like, yeah, depends who it is.
Yeah.
Do what it is, you know.
I get that.
A buddy of mine owns a lighting company. He needed a jumper to go overseas, to go to the head office of this company. He's like, I'd really like a jumper. It was like a 5-color back and 3-color front. I was like, dude, that's one jumper. He's like, yeah, but I'm going home to the head office. I was like, okay, you know. So you know, I don't know. It's a tough one. It's a really hard one. I often, the same analogy is like a tattoo shop. It's like a street shop or not a street shop, you know. Yeah, the challenge we have sometimes is the way we spell the business with Aisle6ix. It's not the easiest to find. So I'm like, well, if you could find us with that spelling, you can come in.
You're probably going to get the sale.
Maybe, yeah.
They've gone for it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, people always talk about that. You know, I had one client, we printed this job. There was 2 in the artwork. There was 2 separate bits of artwork. There was artwork for a white t-shirt, and there was artwork for a black t-shirt. We printed one of the artworks across the whole thing. We got it wrong. I rang the guy. I fixed it. But off the back of that, I got a referral to someone else, which was a 260 piece order, but because I fixed his thing. So I kind of have to be like, okay, well, if I can't help you, then I'll try and point you in the right direction. I don't know if that answers your question, but it's like,
no, it does.
And it kind of ties in with the whole review, referral, feedback, Google thing. It's like, oh, fuck, if I treat this person awfully, are they going to give me a bad review? What are they going to tell, you know? We have a thing, there's no such thing as bad feedback. That's kind of like a thing. And it's like, well, if it's shit and we get it wrong, you know, I can fix it. I like, in full ownership. I was printing, thought I was doing a great job. I was printing these jumpers, double sleeves, was 70, 2-color print. I was like, yeah, I'm helping out. Turns out I used the wrong white. I didn't use a poly white on one sleeve I did, because I was told to change whites. And I was like, oh, can this get through, please? No, it didn't. It's just 70 t-shirts. There's like 3 grand's worth of stock I've just replaced. And not only that, they've also had to be re-embroidered, you know. But this guy, he's been a client of mine since 2016, you know, and I was like, dude, I have to fix this. You know, I'm not going to try and not fix it. And it's just been fixed, and I don't ever want to, you know, off the back of that, the poly white bucket now has a big poly white label around it. You know,
if I did that, I'd be told not to go and print anything. You know, that would be the end of anything I could do in the production. If I got that wrong.
Yeah.
But
I
I
think
think you're
there's
right.
you got to ownership. You got to take ownership for it. You know, that's the key thing there. So
you do, and I think that whole thing of shaping a sale in terms of researching who they are or finding out, you know, what the connection is, and I feel like that's so important. And I probably don't do enough of that. We do t-shirts for a boxer, and we've done them for years. And it was only when we employed a particular person who's no longer with us, he was just a student, and he was a Trojan, phenomenal printer, which he was like, what is he, 23, 24? He never knew anything about screen printing. He came in, I said, this is how you do it, you know, did the first 100, and off he went. It was incredible. Anyway, he came to print this boxer's t-shirt. They usually, you know, got their own labels. They've got, it's really smart stuff. Nice gold, often a bit of simulated process. And he said, you do this guy's t-shirts? And we were like, what do you mean? And he said, this guy's a world champion boxer. And of course, we're completely oblivious, right?
wow.
But if I bothered to shape that properly and find out who they were, we're dealing with their promoters and things, but like, you know, oh, gee, this guy's actually a world famous guy. And I feel like it's worth doing that. But at a local level, one of the things we do that might be worth sharing is if it's a little bit under our threshold is, our minimum is 20, but I will look at it and go, okay, these are people we do want to help. There may be that connection, as you're saying. What I sometimes do is offer to give them a better deal if they'll let us put our logo on the back. And nearly every time they go for it. Even the visitor center here, it's all got our logos on the back.
Wow.
And they're kind of promoting, you know, they see it as promoting our business, which is kind of nice.
Yeah, yeah.
And they get a deal. That's one thing I have done. Of course, a lot of people aren't, you know, a lot of people seem to go for it for us. Like the clothing brand came in, obviously I'm not going to say, hey, let's put my logo on.
I don't know how young Henry's would go.
No.
I would love to, sorry to cut you off. I'd love to have our own blank that we had our own printing in low, you know, there's nothing to stop you essentially taking the AS color tag out, putting you could have AS color staple printed at Aisle6ix, you know, like there's a couple of clients that we print neck labels for, and they keep our sort of logo in because I just send them a file. And I'm like, oh, that's really nice when you do that. I don't know how I'd go. I kind of feel a bit not confident enough to ask. I'm like, oh, can you just maybe post about us on social media?
Can you please tag us?
Yeah. It's interesting you talked about gold. We've just had an issue with gold with one of my clients, and we found that gold ink, when it's washed, metallic gold in particular, it's a Kiwo. It's not probably specific to Kiwo, but when you wash it with and I don't know for a fact that this is the detergent, but after a couple of washes, the gold actually goes and it starts to go phosphorus, like the Statue of Liberty. Green. So we've now changed that process, and we print the gold. We're doing a 2-pass gold with a clear over the top to try and seal it, because we've been sending out gold shirts. I lost a client because of it. This barbershop. I was like, how come what happened? And he's like, oh, all the gold was shit. I was like, man, I've been printing for you for 4 years and you didn't ring me. He's like, oh yeah, we should have rung you. I'm like, yeah, you should have rung me and I would have tried to fix it. But we didn't realize that that's what it was, you know? So yeah, I don't know how you go with gold, but we've now fixed it.
We just use the Rutland one and we haven't had any complaints, but that doesn't mean that the issue isn't there.
And yeah, it was, I don't know what happened. It was fine for a bit. We've got gold shirts and it's all good. But anyway, that's what's been happening with us.
So you actively, you look out for customers that don't come back on, and that, like that example, you contacted them and said, what's going on?
Well, they owed me some money actually, and
that's a good reason.
Well, we were drop shipping because it's like a franchise barbershop essentially, and we'd been holding stock and we were drop shipping it for them for their barbershops. And the way it worked was they pay 50%, and then once the order came through for the second part, they pay the second 50, and then we'd ship it out. And I hadn't heard from them for a while, and you just get that feeling, and I was like, hang on, there's something going on here. And I kept hitting them up, and then I was like, I literally was Googling how to write a letter of demand, and I was like, I got the guy's number. So I rang him up. I was like, hey man, what the fuck? And it was like $1,500. It's not a lot of money, but it's a lot of money when that's, money that's owed to you. So I was just like, what happened? What's going on? He's like, oh, all the gold just happened, this gold. I was like, how come you didn't ring me? And he's like, oh, I should have rung you. I'm like, yeah, you should have rung me. Anyway, he paid, and we haven't started printing for them again, but I'm like, at least now, when you think about no such thing as bad feedback, at least now I understand what it was. But now what we've done is anytime a job with gold goes out, we just put a little note in that says, hey, gold's emotional. Basically, try if you can, depending on what the detergent is, this could happen. It's not our fault. It's we've got the specs in there from Troy. He sent us some info. And
would you actively chase customers, like from quotes, like a new customer, for example? Would you
I actively chase customers?
Yeah. Would you just put it out there and see what happens? Or?
Well, I'm not sure what you mean in that context.
So if a new customer came in and just any job, you run a quote, you send it out there to a new customer, you don't hear anything back. Would you follow through and chase them up like some people 100%. do?
Yeah. In the past couple of months, I've been working with a business coach. His name's Vince. And one of the first things he told me to do was to get a CRM software, client relationship manager software. And so I did, and it's free, it plugs into Gmail, and now I just have like all these parameters. So anytime a new job comes in, it goes in as a lead, and then I just have I have it broken down to the industry. So depending on who it is, what I think the value of the job might be, what they want, and then you can set a reminder, and it just, it might be for 2 days to just follow this job up. And it's taken so much pressure out of my brain to try and remember. And so, I'm pretty active, to be honest. And it's been really good to have that visibility on it. We talked about Hoops. I was using Printavo for a really long time. It's an American shop software, and it was fine. Like it was good, but what was happening was I was on this great pricing. It was like $79 US a month or something, and then they made me upgrade, and then half the functionality that Printavo has is not available in Australia. So, but the key, probably the two key ones for me, probably the number one actually, was it doesn't natively sync with Xero. So you had to have a Zap to push the information across. And so there was that. And I'd asked them, I met the guy, Bruce, his name was, I met him in LA when I went to the trade show, and I was like, hey man, what's going on? He's like, oh, it's not a priority. I'm like, there's other people in the world besides QuickBooks, mate. Like, so there was that. And then they're just kind of becoming more and more like less internationally focused. And I know I've met Brad, who's an Australian guy. He runs Hoops.
Yeah, Hoops is Australian, isn't it? Just to clarify.
It's one out of Queensland. And I tried Hoops before kind of going back to Printavo, and it was awful. Brad, he knows this. I'm not telling him anything he didn't know. But I decided that I'd give it a second go. And the other thing with Hoops, Printavo was costing me nearly $500 a month with the exchange rate for this software, and Hoops is half. It's like costing me $200. And the beautiful thing with Hoops is their job board situation. So all of us have access to this job board, and like Troy, who runs production, he's got his own format. He likes it to look a particular way. I like mine to look a particular way, and Joel, our art director, he likes his to look a particular way. But you can constantly add columns. So we originally had like the original thing was like stock, payment, whatever it is. Now we've got, is there any special things? Has it got, who's done the art? And we've also then plugged it into the shop floor, a big TV screen. It just runs off the back of the shop computer. And so they've got, it's pure visibility. It's massive. There's a couple of things I didn't quite understand with Hoops, but I now get it. It's not, because with Printavo, you could invoice and quote out of the same software. Hoops, you quote and then create an invoice and then run the job. So the invoice comes out as 0. Hopefully that makes sense. But,
so that does integrate with Xero. It's not got a Zap running between it.
Perfect. It's absolutely amazing, because it just goes, literally you go create invoice, you go to Xero, it's there. And you just invoice and you collect all the payment. You can collect payment through Hoops with the Stripe functionality, but the challenge with that is you can't add the credit card surcharge. So with Xero, if you're invoicing out of Xero, you can add the surcharge. So we don't use the Stripe internal thing. But as soon as you receive a payment, it automatically syncs back to Hoops and it says paid. So, you know, it's great. And, you know, you can send SMSs and a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah, wow. Okay.
It's really good. It's actually, everyone's like, oh, this is so much better. I was really nervous. We ran both. The way we transitioned was we had Printavo and Hoops open. And then at the start of the month, we had them both going, and I duplicated the jobs into Hoops. And then by the end of it, I stopped putting jobs in Printavo and I had them all in Ding. I did export all of my job history from Printavo. So I've got it on an Excel sheet. So I can, like, if we've done a job with you in the last 3 or 4 years, I can just go in and check the pricing and, you know, double check it all and all that sort of stuff. So so we got that, the CRM software. We're in the process of looking at Separation Studio NX, I think it's called.
NXT.
Yeah, Joel, our art director, he's amazing. I've known Joel. We have the same barber. Joel's background is he worked at TSP before a long time ago. So Joel's been doing our art forever, and he's like, he can pretty much, if Joel can't separate it, then don't bother. But all we're sort of just trying to do is, you know, start looking at using time a bit more functionality, you know. So we started using that, and then that's kind of it from the shop tool thing.
So you started using Separation Studio?
Just on the trial now. So Joel's trialing it now. Just watching.
How are you going with it? Like, or how's he going?
I watched the video that Chezzy did, the girl from Squeegee in Ink, I think it is. The English girl. And I was like, holy shit. There's literally like off. I was like, that's amazing.
We use it.
It's everything that we do manually, you know. And I guess it's also a bit of a backup plan if, say, Joel's on holidays, you know, or something happens and I can't, because he's not full time, he's permanent part time. So if something happens and I can't, like, I can hack my way in Illustrator, I'm okay. Photoshop sucks. I hate it. I can never size artwork properly. I have to always put the rulers in and try and, I'm like, so yeah. So that's why we're looking at it. There's another one a friend of mine is referred me to, but we're just going to see what happens. But yeah, there's just stuff like that. It's just about kind of, you know, Joel does 3 days a week and he might spend hours on one job. I'm like, man, I gotta get you off this. And
it'll save heaps of time. If we have anything really, really complex, we won't use it. We'll just outsource to what are they called? American company. It'll come to me.
Graphic Sorter.
Graphic Source. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Because you can drip to them now. You don't have to have a monthly contract. You can just, you know, it's priced per piece.
Mm-hmm.
And then
what would you consider complex?
Taking something from photograph down to
like a process print.
Yeah, simulated process. I wouldn't use SEP Studio for anything other than simulated process.
Yeah.
For stuff we do. But sometimes I've done that. I've gone to a graphic source and I've also used SEP Studio and XT and actually just compared the film. And a couple of times we've run both just to see.
Yeah.
And I would say SEP Studio is pretty good.
Yeah.
But it's never as good on something super complex. We got tiny halftones. I'd still probably go out to graphic source, but I find it clunky. That's the thing. Not to complain about what the product actually outputs, but the way the product works, it's a bit clunky.
The
But
set studio product.
yeah, I mean, but that's probably more me than anything thinking about it. I know a couple of other people that use it and swear by it. So
I think the trick with all of that stuff is you've got to you've got to put it into Photoshop or into Illustrator first and like remove the background and make sure it's the right size. And,
yeah,
like if you don't do that, then you're kind of adding extra work.
And you're printing to film, are you?
Yeah, we use I don't know what it's called. We were using Accurate for a really long time.
Yep.
And then it's called Cyberprint. It's just kind of next level up. We have the Epson 48, the T200. I don't even know what it is. The one on the roll.
Yeah.
And you can just you can just dump it all on and just hit print, and it puts it all in the right place. And you can amend the halftones, and you can change all the angles and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
I don't like. I'm not. When you start talking to me about that sort of stuff, I'm like, yeah, cool. I understand. Whatever.
It comes out. It works.
Yeah, there's this beautiful man that Rob Wade, his name is. He used to live here, and he's in Ireland. He's an amazing person for all that sort of stuff. He'd come in and he'd be like, "Oh, your dot size," and I'm like, "Rob, I just need you to print the film, man. Like, I don't get it. Like, I'm not that person, So,
but you enjoy the business end of it all. It sounds like you're really into growing the company and creating a strategy and planning your route to success.
It's I won't lie, the last 18 months has been the hardest I've ever had in the business, moving down here and keeping that momentum and trying to, like when you've been in a spot for 9 years and everything had a place, stuff like that, little tricks like couriers and stuff like that. It's kind of been frustrating, but I've now got people like the guy I'm working with, Vince, and this guy Dan, and the guys out here. We kind of got some good momentum. Yeah, it's been hard, but it's also it's been worth it now that I can see what where we're at. And I was like, how did we do all this in that other small space?
Right.
Growing the business, I don't know. I'm like, how does that work? When do you stop? And what is it really that you're trying to do? Like, I'm not trying to have the biggest print shop. I'm trying to have a very good print shop. I'm literally trying to get to a point where you could go into any print shop in the world and people go, oh, I know who you are. I know what Aisle6ix does, and I know that you're good at what you do. That's kind of my goal. A big thing I'm working on as well now is kind of like letting the schools and the kids in this region have access to what we have here in the print space, in the print shop.
That's exciting.
And just really trying to like, we had an exhibition with Reg Mombassa and Gleno, two of my absolute heroes. And off the back of that, there was a couple of art teachers, Kate and Gemma, came in, and we've been chatting to them and then trying to get the kids, showing them how to print and teach them and all that sort of stuff. For me, that's like, I see that's kind of something we're going to try and sort of move into.
I'd love to do that.
Like. I don't know how you make any money from it, but
but do you need to, in a way? You know what I mean?
No,
like that to me, one of the things about this industry is no one knows how t-shirts are printed. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Do you live print? Sorry?
Do you live print?
And we've done sort of. We've done it once.
How'd you go?
Oh, we got everything wrong. It was great. Like you see, it was terrific. We bought, I think, 600 garments, 600 AS color. Like you couldn't have got anything more wrong than the way that we did it. But we learned heaps, and we're planning to kind of keep it going. We've got another. Well, I guess it's what do you call it? A trading name around that I'm wanting to try and grow and see if I can get some traction on it and maybe franchise it or something. But we have done that, and I loved it. I think I know where you're going. When the kids came to the stand, and we were like, "Do you want to actually print it yourself?" It was just electric, watching kids do this, and or even any age really, because people don't know how it's done, and it is cool. you see a
Yeah,
t-shirt come out and it's got the print on, and it's neat, especially if you designed it yourself.
I love it. Probably my background with that is I did some stuff with a guy called Eddie Zammit. I'm not sure if you know who Eddie is. He's
No.
kind of like, I'll show you. There's this book called Tea World.
Yep.
And Eddie is the founder of that. Anyway, I got this when I was in London, and it was awesome. I've got he hasn't put out an issue for a while, but off the back of working with Eddie and with Secret Wars, I met Hit and Run out of LA, and Mike and Brandy. And Mike and Brandy are kind of like the originators of live screen printing, and they started it and kind of in the format. And they hold the world record for the most. They did when Uber rebranded, they did a live printing event on every continent, and they were doing a live printing event every 72 hours at one point.
Ooh, wow.
Yeah, and Hit and Run is kind of like, for me, it's like the holy grail of this. And so I've done live printing for a bunch of different people, but probably some of my most favorites, as I went into my daughter's preschool, and we did it there. And we recently went in, my wife and I, Shakira, we went into my son's preschool, and we did live printing for them. I don't think they understood what it was, but it was so much fun to just have that little interaction with them. And
Yes.
yeah, it's just that, like you said, when they lift up the screen and they see it and they're like, what is this? And I'm like, well, you're a screen printer now, and I love that side of the business. I love that interaction and meeting people and letting them have a go. And everyone's like, oh, back in high school. I'm like, yeah, well, it hasn't really changed, so we haven't done it for a little while. Got a couple of quotes out there, but there's I don't know if you know Family Industries, they're in LA as well.
Yes.
They're next level.
they're unbelievable amount every year. Is it like 400 events or something?
Yeah, but they don't just do screen printing. Hit and Run do, like, they're really specific. It's a brand. They come in. Family Industry is a white label, so they brand for you, and then they do live embroidery, they do live screen printing, they do live heat pressing, they do live laser etching, they do like just stupid shit. It's just like, how do you do this? And yeah, I don't know if I'd ever go that extreme, but for me, I just love having, we've got a 6-color manual machine and a little single head that we can take out, and yeah, just let kids have a go. I love it. So that's like moving forward. That's kind of, the space is now big.
You want
enough
to do more of that?
Yeah, I really do. Yeah.
And another auto, or you think you're good where you are?
Our auto is not at the moment. I don't know how you are for work. We're not the busiest. We've been busier, so that auto is not like, currently everyone's hand printing to kind of till the work kind of comes through. Bunch of quotes out there, but we won't turn it on if it's like 20 Ts. It's not worth it. Like, it's 14 boards, it's 1.5 rounds. There's just no point. I don't want to be a double order like this. The pressure around running a shop that has got 2 of those things going, and that I don't know that I'm happy with the size we are. I'd like the auto going full time and the 2 manuals going full time and the poster printing going full time. Like, for me, that's kind of where I'm at. And like I said, I just want to be like, I literally want to be able to walk into any print shop and they go, oh yeah, I've heard of Aisle6ix. I know you're good. Like, that's literally what I want, And
I think that's a really important target to focus on that, as opposed to kind of growth numerically or numbers of autos or revenue or whatever, to actually, because I mean, you probably picked up earlier on that I'm trying to, I guess, balance between the artistic quality side of this and the commercial side a little bit. And there's no doubt that I want to kind of turn the handle a little bit. I'm probably too old, really, in a way, to kind of go that far, but turn the handle a little bit more in terms of the revenue and the size. But the thing I've learned about business, by doing it all wrong in the past, certainly, is you never get there. Whatever your You know, you think, well, if I could just get to this level, you know, if I could just one order or 10 consultants or whatever it is, just get to that, then, you know, then it would sort of be good because the revenue would be sitting around here, the profit would be here. The reality is when you get there, everything else kind of builds. And so you're forever kind of shifting this level. And that I think is soul destroying after a while. So I
It's
really
really
like
hard. Yeah, it's really
what you
hard. Like
said.
you come in here and, you know, we're in a bigger shop and we've got bigger equipment and we've got a little bit more volume and everyone's like, oh, you've got more money. I'm like, no, no, I
Quite
don't
the
have
opposite. Yeah.
any more money. You know, am I working as hard as I am today as I was 10 years ago? Yeah, because I I have to you know, when it was just me, it didn't matter if this thing failed. You know, like I had no expectations, you know.
Yeah.
But now that I've got six people, you know, working for me and finance and, you know, it's like the pressure point, you know, and that's where I was like, the last 18 months has been hard, you know. It's okay, but you know, I'm not you know, I could definitely, you know, you see people working different jobs and you're like, having to make wages every week and pay the
Yeah.
bills. It's like, yeah, I don't know. You know, sometimes you're like, shit, have I made the right
Yeah.
decision? You know?
Yeah. And you do want to kind of look after your team and make sure they do well and that they're part of the family and, you know,
Mm,
they're growing into it properly. And that
mm.
costs. There's no question that you can get around that any other
Do you
way.
have any thoughts on profit share or anything like that? Is that something you would consider,
We,
or would you just do bonuses?
we
How would
just do
you?
bonuses, but ostensibly they're profit shares, you know,
Mm.
bonuses, I guess, partly on the basis of how well they performed as well as just profit.
How do you manage that?
Um,
But is it all driven off your shop software or whatever it is you use?
no, it's subjective. You know, it's partly based on um yeah, this is going to sound a bit weird, but it's partly based on competence and recalcitrance.
I don't
So
know what that
competence,
second word is.
yeah,
So,
okay. So confidence, or competence rather, in terms of, you know, how they're growing and are they
mm,
developing, you're able to run this print job. So our production director is one of my daughters, and she was quick today, so she left at about 1, and she just set up the jobs that, to allow them to continue to print. Easy jobs for one of the main guys here, a guy called Cena. Big shout out to him. He's a hard worker, but we're not going to give him a 9-color simulator process just yet, right?
mm.
So can we see someone growing? You know, that's the kind
Oh
of
yeah,
competence
yeah,
for
yeah,
us.
yeah.
The recalcitrance is actually relate for me is related to I don't really give an F. You
Mm.
know, there's plenty of people who work hard, they might grow in competence, but actually at the end of the day, it's not my business. Why do I care? Well,
Yeah, yeah,
you're not going to get a profit share
yeah,
because you're
yeah,
not
yeah,
sharing in the business, right?
yeah,
So
yeah,
that's the kind of and the guys we've got here are great. I love them. The team we've got, as we all know, getting people and retaining good people is hard.
yeah,
But and so they all get bonused at Christmas. They get bonus at the end of June.
yeah,
And this year was pretty good.
yeah.
Like it was, you know, plenty of dollars went in, and they're all quite chuffed. So that's how we do that. I
Mm.
pay them pretty well. They're on most of the guys are on temporary um, real contracts, so 2-year term contracts.
Oh,
They're
okay.
not permanent,
Yeah,
but they're on genuine contracts, and I pay them above the rate. Um,
the
they
rate,
come, yeah, the rate,
the magical rate.
that nebulous rate that's somewhere
Mm.
there.
What is that
Um,
rate? Which award are you using? You
yeah,
know?
yeah, and it's you know it's not great, but we'd bring them up to the level of casual, so casual pay,
Mm.
but they're not casuals. You know, that's what
Mm.
we try to do.
Yeah,
And I'm after people that want to stay and be part of it and grow. And, you know, it's actually a really good job. You know, I've said that to a few people that come in, look, mate, you get to run the press, you know, run a
yeah,
team. This is
yeah,
actually a fantastic industry. It's amazing. And
yeah,
some people just don't catch it. They don't see, you know, that's what it is.
yeah. I tend to hire. I got stuck there hiring people that I was trying to help or fix or
Yes, I know that
save.
problem.
Just trying to
Yep.
save, and um, that doesn't work unless they want to be that person. And now I'm tending to try and find people that are older and have got a bit more life experience and can take constructive feedback and are able to give constructive feedback and have input and are prepared to say, oh, this is shit or this is good, or, you know, like the two, Matt and Ben, Ben was living here. Matt and Ben are both from Wollongong, the region. Ben was commuting for nearly 6 years every day up from Wollongong to Sydney, which is about 3 hours return. And then Matt was trying to find a house or something with his wife Jane, and I was like, hey man, we're going to move, and he's from here and Jane can work remote. So they came down. Ben was pretty happy. He's, you know, saved him hours and hours and hours. And then I had a guy, another Ben, who was commuting, and it just got too much for him, you know. And I was able to we trialed this. We've always struggled with this pre-production manager sort of shipping. I don't even know what the title is. We've always sort of, we had a really good guy with us in Sydney, Jacob, but he didn't want to come down, and so that was sucked. And then we had a guy prior to that, Rob, who ended up moving to Tassie, but it's always been a challenging spot. And then this guy Troy, his background is warehousing, but he's also an artist. And like when he interviewed, I couldn't put him on because it was quiet, and my accountant was like, if you put him on, it's not going to end well. And then when we got the Mardi Gras job confirmed, that's when I put him on, and, you know, casual and all that sort of stuff. And he's been amazing. Paul was another guy. He's an older dude. He'd worked, older man. He worked in another print shop. He was like, oh, I only want to do like 3 or 4 days a week. I'm good with mixing ink. I can do color prints. And so he had a background. He literally, Ben walked out, Paul walked in, and it's been seamless. And wow, Paul's also amazing. He's an older guy. Like, I'm 48. He's about my age, you know. And yeah, both that, it just feels really good, you know. Like, I don't have to worry about it, you know.
Yeah, that's good.
Think about like my ultimate goal. It's like for the shop to run, for me to be able to work, but to actually at some point have a proper holiday. And by a proper holiday, I mean turn my phone off, turn my computer off, and not look at it.
Go away. Yeah,
that's like, you know, be present with my family, be present at home. You know, like I think the last 9 years I've worked in here, and then I go home and do 3 or 4 hours every night just to try and stay in front. Like, I'm jealous of the fact that you're putting that person on, and your shop manager or whatever role you've given them. I'm like, that's the next person for me. But yeah,
just to comment on that, and I will say one other thing, and I don't know if you're like me, but I've been doing business for a long time. My own business is for a long time, and that constantly working long hours and, you know, never getting a break. And, you know, even when you are away, something terrible happens and you've suddenly got to, you know, fix something. The thing I've discovered, and it's because of the grace and patience of my wife, is that most of that problem is me. And I know that we all know that, right? Yeah. But there is still this bustling, relentless, omnipotent, rolling thing called a business that's demanding something from you. Yeah. And I live in fear that the customer will hate me, right? At some point, I'll get it totally wrong, and, you know, oh, don't go to them, they're terrible. And then it's all over. And then, you know, but I think some of it with me is definitely just me, just thinking, I love this. I enjoy this. There's something about this, but it's causing me stress. I'm overweight. I'm tired. Like, it's this paradox in a way.
Yeah. I call it the doom spiral.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, doom spiral.
Yeah, I did a poster, and it's this ballet dance. It's this ballet dancer standing on the top of K2, and it's literally like, that's what owning a business is like. Right. It's like this. That's about right. And I fully agree. It's like, oh, if I don't get back to you on that email, that's, my business is done, you know. And that fear, that constant fear of just like, what's happening next? What's going to happen next?
And you start the month, you think, I don't know if you do this, but we just analyze month by month continually, you know, what our sales like the last 5-6 years, what are they like this month, this year?
Yeah.
And at the beginning of the month, you know, it's quite obvious you've got no sales. It's the beginning of the month, right? Day one comes around, you've got X in the bank, and you think, it's going to be a bad month, you know. In the middle of the month, you're like, it's not looking so bad now. You know?
Yeah. Or you just pay wages. You just pay wages, and then it's the next day, and you're like, oh, I've got no money.
That's right.
Here I go again. You know,
I'll give you some encouragement. So starting this new lady, as I said, has done 2 working interview days, and she'll get a contract tomorrow. She starts tomorrow properly. I just sat with her at her desk, and she's a PC user. We're all Mac, so there's a lot of stuff to learn, and there's no pressure here. But I showed her the inbox, and I just said, here's a bunch of quotes that came in last night. Which one are you going to do first? And, I just told her the answer. It's the one that just came in, right? And we're going to try and get to all of those ones as quickly as we can. But the one that just came in, unless it's for 20 shirts and the others are for 500 or something, that's actually the most important lead. That's the warmest lead we've got. Yeah. We've got to get back to them real quick. And she got that straight away. Yeah. But it occurred to me, there's so much to train. Like you put someone on press, there's so much to train. But it can all go wrong there because of what started here. Someone quotes, it's a 4-color job. They don't understand what an underbase is. They don't realize that red ink's really sticky, or, whatever it is. To get them to understand that, as well as using all these systems, we have our own homemade kind of CRM, which is pretty basic. We got zaps between this, that, and the other. We've got Monday, and that's why Hoops and Printavo are interesting to me. But there's just so much, as well as the pricing structure, as well as, this is a corporate entity called IBM. Let's see if we can get a better deal for, there's 1,000 shirts, not 20. That kind of scares me a bit. But the reason I wanted to say it is because after 2 days, I went home and I was like, this actually could work.
Yeah.
There is someone that could do this stuff.
Yeah.
Free me up. So I'm excited.
I agree. And a really good buddy of mine, Steve Cross, he's a fantastic artist, and amongst other things. And he ran a really successful tattoo shop in Melbourne called Corpus. And he's actually, every time I talk to him, he's like, have you got your shop manager yet? I was like, what are you talking about? He goes, you need a shop manager. I'm like, what are you talking about? Because you need a manager to take you off that shit. Like the stuff that we're talking about. Yeah. And every time I talk to him, I'm like, no, man, I haven't got it. And we had a conversation with the crew here. We try and have a week. One thing we've recently implemented is a daily huddle. Like we have a morning.
Oh, we do that. Yeah, great.
Morning catch up. It's really good. Hey,
agile methodology.
I was like, I don't know if they want to do it. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to give them a choice. And we kind of just talk about what's going on. We still try and have a Wednesday catch up. Joel's in the studio on Wednesday, so we have like a bit more like, yeah, how you all going? But everyone was like, yeah, you need help. I was like, oh, okay. I need help. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. How long have you thought about this?
Where do I find it?
Oh, a couple of years. I wouldn't say it's a control issue. Actually, no, it is. It's a control issue. And it's because as much as I'm happy for this person to come in, it's like, if you fuck it up, it's not on you. It's going to be on me. Yeah. And that's, I mean, I don't know if you know the guy, I don't know his name, but Floodway, he's on Instagram.
Yeah.
He's like, that Corey, that's it. Yeah. He's so system. Like, I'd get Corey to come over and he could just like do my shop. Like, dude, can you just come and do my shop?
He's a process ninja, isn't he?
Yeah, isn't he?
Yeah.
But I feel like if that's what you've got set up for this person, then you're kind of going to be in the thing. We've always had like, no one person is responsible for anything. That's kind of one thing we've always tried to do. So like, check the job with someone else and do that. Doesn't always work. And then there's also like, there's no such thing as a stupid question, so we try and get that through as well. But yeah, that person you're talking about, how did you, what I'd love to see your job description.
This is fascinating because, what's his name? Not good on names today. A friend called me just last week and said that he runs a print shop. He's just got an Anatole and auto. And he said, how do you get your people?
Yeah.
Do you go through Seek? And I said, look, just forget about Seek. We've done it dozens of times. I think in the last year, I worked it out at the end of the financial year there's 15 people we've gone through.
Wow.
Yeah. And I mean, we've got the 5 here. Then we've got 3 other part-timers, 2 of which are kids. And one is the guy who comes in on a Thursday and Friday to do the screens. And then one of my other daughters, Emma, does all of our social media stuff, which I kind of have a love-hate thing about, not my daughter,
Yeah.
about social media.
Social media. Yeah.
It's a poison chalice in a way, that. But anyway, all of that to say, I reviewed it. We had so many people go through, and I said to my mate, "Look, don't go through Seek. You're going to get half the people that are on the dole need to sign up and say, yeah, I've applied for jobs. You're going to get a whole lot of bunch of people that want to learn how to paint and, want to screen print as a hobby,
Yeah.
and, don't really get that this is a commercial environment, although that's nice that they want to do that." And he said, "Well, how did you get them?" And I said, "Well, it's two things. One is I just go to the local community site on Facebook. I just put something really simple up with an
Yeah.
hourly rate. And it's pretty clear, like, we're looking for mature people. And that could mean a number of different things.
Yeah. Yeah.
But frankly, if you're 16 and mature and you are mature, then we'll take you. You know what I mean? If you're 80 and not mature, we're not, so it's not just about age. And you can very quickly go through that because you've got a different level of communication. It's not going through a formal process.
Yeah.
And we take them in, we interview them, then we give them a working interview.
Yeah.
If they, come for a week, we'll pay you, not an issue. Want to put you on everything, get you to understand everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
But the other thing I said is the other reason that we employ people is that someone refers them to us.
Yeah.
Someone will say, "Sam, have you got any vacancies? I've got a friend who," and that's a totally different relationship when it starts.
Troy. That's Troy.
There you go.
Troy that's how Matt, the wizard, that's how he rocked up. And it was literally like, Troy's like, "You looking for someone?" I'm like, "Yeah, I need someone." And then literally Matt just literally rocked up on his motorbike, scared the shit out of everyone. And then within 2 days, he was like, Matt's impact was pretty epic. We're doing hoodies. He's like, "You don't have any hot tack?" I'm like, "What's hot tack?" He's like, "Hot tack, for jumpers." I was like, "No, mate, we just iron them. We spray and then we iron them." And then he's like, "What the fuck?" So yeah, so that's Troy. Troy could have an employment agency side hustle without any hassle, without any issues there. But yeah, I agree with the referral. Like, that's Troy. I must have put something on Instagram. Troy reached out. Paul just rocked up. He just was like, "Hey man, I'm looking for work." And I wrote his number down. And when Ben told me he was leaving, I was like, "Oh man, no worries. Cool." I walked straight in here and I rang Paul straight away. I was like, "Hey, are you still looking for a job?" So yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah, but it's been cool. I do love it. Even though I was like 18 months, it's been hard. I love the I don't know. I just love it when you get to print something and someone sees it and they're like, "Holy shit, that's my stuff,"
Yeah,
and I do think sometimes we're underappreciated, but I was trying to get this Thank the Maker Day thing happening, but who's got the time for that? Yeah. It's good fun. I do love it.
It is. I think I said before, I've done a few different things, and I wish I'd started this 30 years ago. This is, to me, not without stress, as we've discussed, but it's been one of the most amazing models of business, as well as what we're doing, I've ever done. And I've never done anything in manufacturing, if we can put it that way, before in my life, and never wanted to go near that. That's just scary. You need to buy equipment, that's a big deal. You need to understand processes, but it's just great. I love it. Absolutely love it.
If you told me, so it's, as a company, this is our 10th year. If you told me back then that this is where I would end up, I would never have believed you. I'm immensely proud of myself for being able to keep us in this situation. And, when I think about the people we've printed for and the clients and, the stuff we've done, I'm immensely proud. I don't know what else I would do. But then, if this went to shit tomorrow, I'm like, I'm going to go and mow lawns or do something. Like, I've always worked, I've done so many different jobs, from being a customs officer till building maintenance man, like, just mowed lawn. I don't care. I'll have a go. I do love this. But running a small business is fucking hard.
It is.
It's really, really hard. And I don't know that 30 years ago I would have been mature enough to understand what it involves. And I think it's like having kids. My daughter's 6 and my son's 4. I don't know that I could have done that when I was 25 or 30. In fact, I pretty much guarantee you I couldn't have. So I'm kind of glad to be doing it now.
Yeah, it's the
I've got
growth.
way more stability and awareness. But the ramifications if it goes to shit are much bigger. So the ability as we're older people to be able to back ourselves and know that it's okay is a strength that I think is very, it takes sort of tenacity to be able to sit in, you know what I mean? And you know, like I'm really proud of where we're at and what we do and who we do it for. But the challenge is like I've got another 20 years. I'm like, I'm not even like, I see this, I'm like, I'm 48. I had another 20 years of this. I'm like, all right, what am I going to do? How am I going to change it and how am I going to improve it? And I have a couple of things I want to do, but yeah, it's fun. It's
It is fun.
stressful fun. That's even
And
the
we
thing.
we could be about to, we being Ministry of Shirts could be about to make a terrible mistake in that, like I said earlier, we're planning to move to a bigger place in February, maybe get that second auto. This year we got an auto coater, we want to go to CTS, want to, get that rock and so on. And incidentally, just quick aside, you mentioned earlier on, if you could have that M&R auto running and the two manuals running and the flatbed printer running full time, you'd be happy. But in truth, we want them to run about 60%.
Yeah.
Because when you get into that top level again, in terms of consumption, you got to get another auto. You got, so there is a thing about that. But we could be about to make that mistake because surely we don't have enough space. I mean, that's a given. That's okay. But if we move too fast now in the next stage, I'll never be able to consolidate because we'll just be running to catch up and to pay off.
Yeah.
To get more staff. There has to be a model where you can say, actually, now we can actually slam the brakes on, which might be about increasing price or reducing marketing or advertising or whatever it is. But whatever that journey is, whatever that goal is, if I'm able to plan to get someone to take this load of work off me and do that thing that most entrepreneurs don't do, and that is to delegate and to let go and say, yeah, you stuffed up, but you're now going to fix it, rather than you didn't do it my way. If I can get that going, I think I'll be able to get out. In all the other businesses I've done, I've never been able to do that. Even when I've had a fantastic team around me, I've never been able to let go. And so we could be making a great big mistake in that I may make a rod for my own back by going to that next level, whatever that is.
Yeah.
It could actually be, we get to that level. Now we put the prices up. We'll just manage the market a little. For me, having two autos would be about redundancy.
I think that like that scares the shit out of me, to be honest. And I guess, Joel at PSI, before they put in their second rock, they were running double shifts. They were like that thing was wailing, and I'm like, if you're not at a point where that machine is constantly working, potentially for 8 to 10 hours a day, like why would you put in the second machine? I don't see that. And I also go, how many times do you get to a point where you've got that much work that you could put it on the second machine? I know there's the theory is like, oh, if the turnaround on the job is too long, if our turnaround is supposed to be 2 weeks and it's pushing out to 4, if it's pushing out to 4 constantly for 6 months at a time, I'd be like, okay, there's something going on. But if it's only happening once every 2 or 3 weeks or once every month, be like, that extra job, I'd be outsourcing it. I'd be literally ringing up Joel. I'd be like, hey man, can you do this job for me? I just need your help on this. And then that way you're still staying within your comfort zone. I like the idea of increasing the size, but if I was to do it again, I'd probably still try and find this size shop. I don't know. I didn't do it how I should have done it. I wasn't telling everyone we were moving. I was like, oh, everyone's going to be happy and it's going to be a surprise. When in actual fact, what I should have been telling people is like, hey, we're moving. This is what's happening. We're moving. So I don't know. I like go for it, I say. But yeah, it scares the shit out of me. I'd be like, a second auto? Holy crap. We moved the tables out here for the exhibition and I joked, I was like, there's room for a second auto here. And he just looked at me. And I was like, I'm joking. He's like, you better be joking. Like I like the idea of the autocoder, the computer to screen, that stuff. And that's just working more efficiently. If it was up to me, I'd be working a 4-day work week. We'd have Fridays off. Everyone would have a 3-day. That to me is about quality of life and managing it so you can still do the shit you need to do. But having that second auto and knowing that you got to make 40K in wages a week, and like I'll be like, whew, no, thank you. I'm good. If I had this brain and I could go back to the 20-year-old, probably still wouldn't do it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. I like it. It's not working at a pace where you break yourself every day. I don't see the point in that. Yeah. And on that CDS, are you like, is that what you're thinking? Have you seen the laser ones?
Oh, look, there's so many. We've been looking at
the laser one is the
Exile.
one I'd be getting. I think it's like Sati, and it's a laser UV light. It's on the Made Lab thing, and it's just like because there's no consumables. It's like
That's right.
it's one less thing you have to buy. And
There are two of those. There's the Sadi one, and there's an MHM one now, which I gather is a bit more cost effective. So I think I'd love to go to that, but it's the price. I'm looking at the Kiwo have one that it's a bit like the M&R one, except it's a vertical one. It's wax, and it also exposes in the same unit. And also been looking at the Exile one, which is called a Spider 2, I think it is, or something like that.
I think Donovan's got one. Donovan's refurbishing one. If you want to get into the,
oh, is that right?
Yeah, he's got a whatever they're called. He's got one that I was like, ooh, but they retail for $125,000.
Yeah, they're huge bucks. Yeah, and that's the reason I haven't got one. But
the reason I don't have one.
the setup time on an auto, if you've got a good rego to do, that can be a real killer on a job. Not just the auto's still going to run fast, even if it's doing 200 an hour, like obviously it's quicker than a manual. You're never going to fail in that area, but the setup time can break it in terms of the number of jobs you'd plan to put through that day.
Yeah.
And that's why, maybe that's the point. Maybe that's the halfway point. Don't get another auto, go for CDS. You'll be able to, when you get those really intense numbers of orders come through, you can kind of cope with it that way by increasing the speed of setup. But this might be a bit kind of, I don't know what word to use. Ridiculous. That'll be a good word. I just want redundancy.
Yeah.
So that thing of if the autocoder breaks, it's not a big deal. If the auto breaks, that's a big deal. Because in truth, the only person that can, and this may be just my issue, but the only person that can print well enough on a manual, especially with color work, is me. And I'm nearly 60. I'm not 48. It'd be nice to be 48. I just can't do that now. So that may be part of it. But also spinning up two machines 100%, two autos 100% at a time isn't good. That's not going to work. But if I was able to get two up at 60%, so someone's at the door, can you go?
Yeah, I think is it Andy and Dylan on the shirt show? I remember when I was on it, I was talking to them about stuff, but Andy's always like, what's your break? How quickly can you break the machine down and reset it? His machines. He's like, that's the thing he looks at. And, he has his breakdown station in the middle of the shop where the machines are. It goes in the tub and then they do that. And a new one comes on. Like if you're going to try and justify the second auto, like I'd be like, how can I improve the setup and pull down on the existing machine first? Like even little things like, applying board glue takes 20 minutes or changing the board tape, it's all that stuff. You like you say, you got to take the you got to clean the screens down with plastisol cleaner first before you put them in. Like imagine how much time you would save on that. There's a great what's it called? Sorry, I'll just get it off my phone.
the right
Yeah.
answer.
The book is Atomic Habits. Have you ever heard of it?
Atomic what?
Atomic Habits. And it's
Habits. Yeah. Okay.
anyway, there's a story in there, and he's like the guy, the new coach for the Great Britain cycling team wanted to make them good and all this sort of stuff. And he literally changed they concentrated on changing everything by 1%. And they went from being like sixth in the world to winning everything, every gold. And they just, every process just got improved by 1%. And it's like that, the justification for the second order, I'd be like, how much is it going to cost me? You know, how long is this thing, you know, how is this machine working? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah, even
I think
things
you're
like
right.
cleaning the squeegees and all that shit. It's like, you know, taking the tape out, you know, putting the tape in, like all of that stuff just takes so much time, you know.
Have you got we've got a squeegee cleaner. Have you got a squeegee cleaner?
No.
I was in the UK at Christmas, and they've got a place there called Screen Print World or something like
Oh
that.
yeah, I've seen that online. Yeah.
And I just bought one.
Is it the bench one and you just wind it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a golf ball cleaner, right?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
a bit like that. It's brilliant. It's
Yeah.
absolutely brilliant. It's so quick.
Yeah.
The guys love it. But yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. Small increments, sharpening those business processes. And I think you're right. CTS. The problem is that, and I don't want to bag out Anatole, but CTS won't work well on an Anatole.
Did they
At
say
least,
why?
well, because the Reggio, the arms move when you lock them down. So you can Reggio something in, and then you clamp the other clamp down. It's got side clamps on an Anatole, and it moves a fraction of the mil. And they are trying to iron that out. We are kind of working with them on it. And when you manually Reggio it, the person that's Reggioing it just accommodates for that, right? They just know that's what's going to happen on that head.
I guess that's the air. I mean, the M&R's airlock. So you hold it and you just click it, and it's like,
yeah.
And then it's got a manual overnight lock. So when you go at night, if you're worried about your Reggio, you can just put these extra screws down for when you turn the air off,
and the pressure drops,
so it doesn't move.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So if I'm going to go to CTS, you know, I've got a kind of I'm going to call it a baby version, excuse me, of CDS based on the Anatole system, which is called Army, and it's just too laborious a job. You know, adds too much time on the way. So we've kind of built our own version of that, which I think a lot of print shops do anyway, which works, and they're pretty quick. But I think, yeah, I'd want to be on an M&R or a Rock or to see a better solution from
Eye-Image, that's what it's called. Not Eye-Image.
Yeah, Eye-Image. Yeah, that's the M&R one. Yeah.
Yeah.
But there is one other system in terms of CTS that I've been hearing about, and it's not on the market yet. Now this sounds completely bonkers, and I've asked to go and see this. It's basically a system that coats the screen with the emulsion, effectively exposed, instead of the burnout area. Does that make sense? It's doing the absolute opposite.
So it's a negative space.
Yeah, correct. And it's supposed to be pretty good. So there's no need for exposure or blowout or any of that. But I've asked to see it. This is something Howard's been talking to me about for ages. Aisle6ix are coming over next month just for a couple of days if you're interested in catching up with them.
Never even heard of Aisle6ix.
Well, they were on the Spider. So that's purportedly the #1 wax unit, but you know, I guess everybody would say
I think
that.
Joel's got his Duluth or something it's called. I don't know. I don't have the money to spend on that at the moment. I don't even have it. Like our exposure room's a tent. So
right,
I'm like, when I started, I used to use bond paper, and you get WD-40 or the cheapest version of that you can get, and you put it on the screen and you spray it and it goes transparent. And then I'd put it in a vacuum bag, you know, the ones you get from the $2 shop. Put that in there, and then I'd get my vacuum and suck it on the thing, and then I had this 4-watt bulb. That's how I used to make my screens, and that's what I did for ages. Yeah, when we got a film printer, I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. But I do want that, because the amount of film we chuck out is just insane. Like, such a waste. I keep getting this. I got a sample roll from this person in China, and it was like 10 rolls. 10 60-meter rolls for like $400 or something, you know, I'm paying 460 for a 60-meter roll. And I was like, I'm just going to import heaps and flood the market because we chuck it out. We don't keep it. We don't.
Yeah, same here.
We just like, it's just a waste. But, you know, when you're cutting a piece of film and there's this bit on the end, you're just chucking it out. I'm like, there's got to be a better way. And you can't recycle that stuff. It's not.
No,
it's
done.
You know, so.
Yeah, no, I think it's better for that reason too. So, well, we'll see. We'll have to see what happens. We'll have to catch up in a year or so and see.
Yeah, for sure.
Try together again and work out how our stories have gone. But
yeah,
Shannon, thanks, mate. It's been really great to get to know you.
Yeah,
one
cool.
of the great things about this is
you were like, how long will we talk for? I'm like, oh, I don't know. It's been nearly 2 hours.
Oh yeah, it's been well over 2 hours now.
Hopefully this doesn't break the YouTube setting on it.
Rules.
So.
Yeah. Thanks for your time. Thanks for
That's
your
cool. So it was a bit punishing to get to. I had a bit going on in the last couple of weeks.
Totally get it, especially with a young family.
It's I know Facebook group, we're talking about hoops. I really feel like if you did reach out to Brad and try and book like a chat with him, I'm not on their books or anything, but you know, I really feel like that product it's got some legs to stand on.
Is he in Sydney? Did you say he was in Sydney?
No, I just book. You can just go online and book a call with him, and then he'll answer all your questions.
Based in Australia, though, right?
Yeah, they're Australian. Yeah. They're an Australian product. It's like $99 US for 2 licenses, and then $29 for the third, which is not too bad. It works out to be about $200 a month. But you just like, it's just the functionality that you're talking about with Monday. We use Trello a little bit in here as well, just for the ideas and stuff. But it's kind of, when you put it all in one and everyone has access to it, and you can just kind of see what's going on.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, you can send reminders to each other, and it could have there's a couple of things I don't like, which Brad knows about it. You know, there's a couple of things I'm like, oh, that needs to be fixed. You know, like the addresses don't automatically populate when you're putting in a new contact. You have to manually add it. And then if you need to add the shipping and the billing address, you have to duplicate it. I'm like, that's just a waste of time. It just should be populating from Google. Like, that's a no-brainer, you know. But all of those stuff, like this other stuff is really good. You know, the software is really good. So yeah, it's worth it. And they've got a really good online web portal. So you can basically do this whole, it goes through every single function that the software offers, and it's a free online thing. You can just sit there and have the software open and go through the thing and set it all up. And then
I'll look out for all of that.
Oh, actually, sorry. The last thing that's good about it is it links automatically to AS Color, Gildan, everyone that you have accounts with. It pulls in their pricing and populates. So when you put in 5001 for AS Color, it's sitting there, you know. So
all right, well, look, I better shoot through. Thanks
I better go home.
Let's stay in touch.
Like, what's going on?
Yeah, if I'm in Wollongong, I might pay you a visit if that's okay.
Yeah, please. That'd be awesome. Yeah, come down. I'd love to show you the shop, and I'm the same. If I get up that way.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, it's always nice to see other shops. I love actually going to other people's shops. I'm like, ooh. I remember my old boss Andy. I was like, why have you got nail polish on the whiteboard, Andy? He's like, oh, we use it for pinholes. I was like, yes. He's like, we use white nail polish on your pinholes. I was like, that's so good, dude. Thank you.
All right. Well, on that note, I better say goodbye.
No
Thanks
worries.
again, Shannon.
Thanks. Bye, Sam.
All the best. Cheers.